Back in 2006, if you wanted to play an open world crime game, there really wasn't much competition. Grand Theft Auto had become the series everyone compared everything else to, and plenty of studios tried to make their own versions of Grand Theft Auto, but most of them were quickly written off as cheap copies that never quite understood what made Rockstar Games so special. Pretty much if your game involved stealing a car and/or crime in any way, shape, or form, you were accused of just being a Grand Theft Auto clone. Then, on August 29th of 2006, Volition, the publisher THQ, released Saints Row exclusively for the Xbox 360. Before it even launched, a lot of people had already made up their minds. It looked like yet another Grand Theft Auto clone in a sea of Grand Theft Auto clones. You stole cars, got into shootouts, escaped the police, and explored a large city. And obviously, Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar had that entire brand and niche on lockdown. Though being completely honest, on the surface, the comparisons were completely fair. But once people actually started playing Saints Row, well, the conversation began to change. Critics generally reviewed the game well, with Saints Row earning an 81 on Metacritic. Outlets like GameSpot praised the amount of content and the customization, the online multiplayer, and the fact that despite wearing its inspiration on its sleeve, it managed to carve out its own identity. It wasn't trying to reinvent the entire genre. It was simply trying to make a really good open world gang game, and for a lot of players, it definitely succeeded. One of the biggest things that separated Saints Row from Grand Theft Auto was its focus. Instead of following one criminal through a variety of jobs and stories, Saints Row is all about gangs. And to be honest with you, in 2006, everybody thought they were part of some gang or some hood, so the timing couldn't have been better. In Saints Row, you're joining the 3rd Street Saints. At the time, they were barely hanging on, and over the course of the game, you will help them turn into one of the most powerful gangs in Stillwater. Every mission, every neighborhood you take over, and every bit of respect you earn feels like it's working towards that goal, of becoming the one gang to rule them all, if you will. The city is divided by rival gangs, each with their own leadership, personality, and motivation. Rather than simply focusing on chaos for the sake of chaos, you always feel like you're working towards something and having a goal in mind for your gang, the 3rd Street Saints. And that tone really helps Saints Row stand out. Unlike some of the later games in the series, the original is actually pretty grounded. The story takes itself seriously most of the time, dealing with gang rivalries, corruption, and people fighting for control of the city, with a little bit of humor sprinkled here or there. And with that being said, the developers clearly weren't afraid of having some fun as well. There are plenty of strange side activities, funny radio stations, ridiculous advertisements, and little moments scattered throughout the game that make you stop and, get that feeling that this game isn't taking itself too seriously. It never goes completely off the rails, but it also never feels afraid to have a little bit of a laugh here or there. Obviously, we all know where the franchise eventually would lead, and it's safe to say that Saints Row 1 was the foundation block that the Saints Row reboot knocked out.
Oh, everything smells amazing, Kev.
You know what would make it smell even better?
Hey man, if you want a $300 waffle maker, you can buy it with the exposure the idols pay you in. Don't expect us to chip in.
I've told you before, the idols are trying to build a post-capitalist society where money is not a concept.
Make it stop!
And to be honest, that's something I'm really interested in to revisit, because Saints Row eventually became known for being completely over the top. When people think about the series today, they usually think of aliens, superpowers, and giant purple phallic weapons. Or they think of the reboot, which was a completely and utterly political mess. The first game couldn't be more different, and it will be interesting to see how much of that original identity was already here from the very beginning. Of course, Saints Row was not perfect. Some reviewers felt the missions could become repetitive, others criticized parts of the driving and the AI, and the comparison to the Grand Theft Auto never really went away. But despite those criticisms, Saints Row managed to do something that very few games had done at the time. It proved that there was room for another open-world crime series in the gaming landscape. Here we are nearly 20 years later, and that's exactly why I wanted to come back and play it. I remember loving Saints Row when I first played it, but it's been a long time since I properly sat down and experienced the original from start to finish. Games age, our opinions change, and sometimes the memories we have don't quite match the reality. So over the course of this series, the Saints Row franchise, we're going to play through the entire games together. We're looking at the story, the missions, the characters, and the gameplay, the activities, and everything else Saints Row has to offer. Along the way, we'll talk about what still works, what doesn't, and whether this is really one of those Xbox 360 standouts or just a fond memory that we should leave there. So let's head to Stillwater, join the 3rd Street Saints, and find out if Saints Row from 2006 is still as good as we remember. Before we get started though, I need to mention something real quick. I have a a speech impediment, so every now and then you might notice a word that's mispronounced or occasionally substituted to help with narration flow a little more naturally. I do my best to make these videos as enjoyable as possible, and I hope that doesn't take away from what we're really here for, exploring in a fantastic game together. Another thing you'll notice throughout the series is that we'll be leaving the story cutscenes completely unedited. I want to give the developers a chance to tell the story the way that they intended without me constantly interrupting. Once the cutscene has finished, I'll jump back in and break it down, share my thoughts, and point out everything and anything I found interesting along the way. Finally, if you enjoy this kind of long-form deep dive content, I'd really appreciate your support. These videos take a huge amount of time to research, record, narrate, edit, and put together, so if you enjoy what you see, leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, or even dropping a comment really does help let us know you'd like to see some more. Now, with that out of the way, let's head to Stillwater.
Watches! I got watches here. Yo, hey man, this shit'll cost you $600 in the store. Oh, whatever. Watches.
Hey,
I
baby,
got
I
watches.
could show you a good time.
Oh, hell no.
Man, fuck the rollers.
LeVar, you gonna let those bitches disrespect us?
Shit, what you think?
What the fuck you think you're doing?
Just being civic-minded is all.
That's so?
Yeah, some dumbass cracker went and shit on all over this wall. We just cleaning it up. Oh!
Hector says buenas noches.
Wrong time, wrong place, dog.
You okay, player?
Julius, let's move.
That don't look so bad. You should be fine. That's Troy. You can thank him later.
Hey.
The row ain't safe no more, son. We got gangs fighting over shit that ain't theirs. And you in the way, they don't care if you represent or not.
Julius, this is no time to recruit.
We need all the help we can get, son.
No, we need to get our asses out of here.
In a minute. Look, the row's got a problem. Come to the church when you want to be a part of the solution.
I love how early games of the 2000s wasted no time with tutorials. Right into it. We head straight over to the church for our initiation into the gang.
Every motherfucker here knows what we need to do. Now those bitches be riding around here thinking they own these streets. I don't care what flags they flying. Rollers, Carnales, Vice Kings. No one's making this nigga scared to walk the row. We about to lock this shit down right now.
All right, yeah!
Yeah!
Fuck yeah! Who the fuck's this guy?
Troy and I found him. We're gonna see if he'll ride with us.
Julius, if he wants to run with the Saints, he gotta be canonized.
Hey, he's right, Julius. Everyone had to do it.
You ready for this, player?
To become canonized into the 3rd Street Saints, you first have to fight a whole bunch of the 3rd Street Saints. I like it. It kind of feels real in a way, though admittedly I've never been part of a gang, so I don't know what the actual initiation rituals are. But I have been part of the 3rd Street Saints and I earned it right here in this cemetery. Before continuing, we should note some of the obvious things you're going to notice throughout this playthrough. This game is 20 years old, and recording it is a damn nightmare. I'm actually using an emulator program with a whole bunch of mods in order to be able to get this game to function properly on a PC. And even then, it still hardly functions on a PC. One thing you're going to notice is for some reason street lights appear through walls and buildings and everything in between. The other thing you're going to notice is a lot of frame rate issues. I can't change that, it's literally just the way that the port works. It doesn't change the story, it's just visually it's a little cluttered. But we won our canonized fight.
You earned your colors today.
That's some impressive shit. The only other Saint who kicked ass like that was Johnny.
Shit took me half the time.
Welcome to the 3rd Street Saints. Let's get down to business. If we're serious about taking back the row, we gotta let those motherfuckers know what time it is. Now you break it down, and it's all about respect. Get enough of it, they're gonna back off, and we're gonna move right on in. We got some friends in town that could use some help. Give them a hand. Course, you can always drop any motherfucker flying the wrong flag. So long as word gets out that the Saints is on the row, I don't give a damn how you do it. You feel me?
This town is gonna be ours.
All right, man. Time for you to buy a piece.
As I've already said, the early 2000s games, they didn't waste any time, and it's kind of actually really refreshing playing Saints Row from 2006 because you literally just play the game. It was a game meant to be fun. Does that make any sense? We started by creating our character, and then immediately we meet the gang, and immediately we're canonized into the gang, and then immediately we're told to go get a gun and then go fight the other gangs. There was literally no time wasted, and you, the player, is immediately just having fun. If we just skip to the future a little bit, more likely skip to the present day from 2006, games now have tutorials that last hours. Games have prologues that literally can last as long as full-titled games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. What we can appreciate about Saints Row from 2006 right off the bat is that it's not trying to hold your hand, it's not trying to be overly complicated, and it's not trying to be something special and unique. And to be honest with you, it's treating you, the player, with a little bit of respect, expecting the fact that you kind of know how to do some things. And while yes, we are technically doing a tutorial, you don't feel like you're doing a tutorial. You feel like you're just immediately in the game. Or for a better way to put it, you feel like you're immediately part of the gang. We did the initiation and then we were told by our gang leader to go kill the rival gangs in the neighborhood. Now, I should probably actually talk about what we're doing here. This is your tutorial on how you get your weapons. You're always going to have to go to friendly fire. One thing I will say right off the bat is, my goodness, are these weapons so extremely overpriced. And seeming how every single mission requires you to kill about 500 million gang members, you're going to be here a lot. And money in the future may become an issue. Now, that being said, the game is pretty generous with the amount of ammo that it drops from the enemies. It's more if you have a particular taste in weapon that you like, you're probably not going to find it on the ground too often. I found that I never found AR ammo throughout my entire playthrough. The other thing that we're getting a tutorial on here in this mission is the Forgive and Forget. It's basically the spray and pray or whatever it is from Grand Theft Auto. You go there and all your sins are immediately forgiven. And finally, the game immediately will tell us that it's okay to joke around about everything, because then we will be going to a restaurant called Freckle Bitches, which is obviously a nod to, well, Wendy's. Throughout this playthrough, pretty much every mission's going to devolve into us just shooting things, so we'll be able to move along pretty quick, as it's going to be kind of hard to be like, I killed that guy, and then I killed this guy, and then I killed that girl. What I will say, though, is for the time when this game was made, in 2006, this game was already inclusive to everybody. Our gang has fat people, black people, Asian people, Hispanic people. It didn't matter. And the game did this without having to spoon feed you the fact that they were doing it. What was beautiful about it is anybody of any race, color, weight, and or ethnicity was able to pick up Saints Row and immediately feel like they belonged to the 3rd Street Saints because they immediately fit in. Why? Because the 3rd Street Saints didn't discriminate. This is actually really important to where the franchise would go with the Saints Row reboot, where they spoon-fed you this exact narrative. They already did it once, better here. So it is most definitely worth noting in our deep dive, because it definitely plays a role in later installments of the Saints Row series and franchise. It should also be worth noted that I'm having an immense amount of fun and we're literally 2 missions into this game. This won't last forever, but it's worth noting right now. If you pick it up, you're gonna have fun at the very beginning of the game for sure. A lot of the times at the end of a mission, you're gonna get a phone call.
Good work, player. Word has gotten out that the Saints ain't bullshitting. Now we gotta lock our rep down.
Usually the phone calls don't add up to too much, but in this specific case, it's letting us know that we have to build our reputation. A unique thing that Saints Row does over other games is that in order to progress throughout the storyline, you have to earn reputation within the gang first. You do this by completing side activities. In this specific case, we're going to be sent to do a side activity called Snatch.
What's going on, bro? Julius called and said you might be stopping by. Look, you looking for a little something? Because if so, I can let Peggy over there give you a ride. Yeah, I didn't think so. Look, brother, I gotta be honest. I'm trying to get a business started here, but right now the only hoe I got is so fugly blind motherfuckers turn her down. Now, if you could bring me back some of them fine bitches who are turning tricks to other pimps, I'd be able to start seeing some real money. But I ain't asking for something for nothing. I mean, you help me out, I'll cut you in on what the bitches make, and I'll spread the word that the Saints are the real deal.
Let's talk about the side activities for a second. Specifically, we're going to talk about Snatch, and then we'll go through all the other ones so I never have to do it for the rest of the video. Snatch is pretty simple. You are going to help another pimp gain a bunch of product, with product being hookers, by stealing said product from other pimps. You do this by simply driving around, you honk your horn, they get in the car, and then you take them back to your pimp. As you progress through the different levels of the Snatch activity, gangs will come after you, so will the police, and obviously the difficulty will get harder and harder, and the amount of hookers you need to acquire will get more and more. Completing these tasks will unlock you specific rewards for your character and gang. In our playthrough, we will complete none of the side activities as I didn't really feel like doing it. That being said though, Snatch is one of the better side activities to do to build your reputation within the 3rd Street Saints. I also really enjoy the play on words by having the mission called Snatch, which is another word for a
I'm Phil. Jesus, if you're scared of getting a little dirty, you're in the wrong line of work, buddy. Hope you're not that big of a pussy when it comes to jacking shipments. Look, I only work with professionals. If you say you got skills, I'll set you up with a target. But if you're some punk who just likes to drive mommy's car fast, you can stay home.
Hijacking is exactly as it sounds. You're not really stealing shipments, you're stealing specific cars in which the guy wants. This is not to be confused with chop shops. This one's different because people will chase you. Now, I have to be honest with you here and now. We already talked about it a little bit in the intro sequence. Driving in Saints Row 1 is not the best, but freaking having the AI chase you is even worse. Throughout your hijacking missions, they'll start off super simple, and as you progress, they will obviously get harder. This is the same for every single activity you're doing. The problem specifically with the hijacking mission is the fact that the AI is, they don't fight fair. They spawn in front of you, they'll spawn under you, they'll spawn inside you, but also they're able to hit you no matter what vehicle you're driving and send you careening off the road at 1,000,000 miles per hour. Essentially what ends up happening is the hijack mission becomes almost impossible to complete without many trials and errors because the AI doesn't fight fair. That being said though, it is a quick way for you to make reputation. Believe it or not, there is activities that are just not worth your time. This is not one of them.
Hey, baby.
No fucking cameras.
Please.
I thought you come here to get a story, but let me tell you something. That ain't gonna happen, all right? Now get the hell out. You're gonna wish you never did that. My lawyer did. Nice. Thanks for saving me the trouble. Tell you what, we could use someone who's got no love for the press. Bunch of big shots like to rent our girls for private parties. There's nothing the media loves more than a sex scandal. If you can make sure our girls can do their job without the press catching on, we'll pay you some serious cash.
Escort missions. It's different than a snatch mission because you're not stealing the hooker, you already have one, and all they have to do is do their sweet, sweet macaroni noises in the background and you're good to go. While they make the sweet, sweet wet macaroni noises in the back of your car, you have to avoid the news, private detectives, as well as the police, and you'll be given the odd task here or there like go to freckle bitches or jump the car for 2 seconds in the air. These are personally one of my favorite activities to do, just because of the variety and how fun they are. But admittedly, once again, once the AI gets involved, it becomes almost brutally impossible to complete missions without many trials and errors. Moving on.
I'm glad you could make it. One of my niggas is in trouble and I need you to help. It's got a big court case coming up, and the prosecutor has a whole line of witnesses that could put him away. Well, needless to say, that ain't gonna happen. I got a list of all the witnesses, and I'll pay you for each one you can take out. That's straight with you?
Hitman sounds pretty cool, and we already got the bald head, so we fit in. We're given a list of targets to take out, and we're just expected to, well, kill them. Sounds easy enough until you realize that this is actually incredibly hard. Each target has a set of parameters you have to meet that you don't know in order to have them actually spawn. Sometimes they don't spawn, sometimes they spawn under the map, sometimes they're glitched out. Then on top of it, you have to drive around until they appear on your mini-map, and then you can hunt them down. Adding to the difficulty is the fact that each and every one of these targets has to be taken out with a specific weapon and or challenge, and it becomes overbearing. In fact, the footage you're seeing right now is 15 minutes of me looking for the very first target. Later installments of the Saints Row franchise will do this much better, but in Saints Row 1, I would highly recommend just avoiding it like the plague. Like, to be honest with you, if you just activate it and then they just happen to appear on your minimap, take them out that way, but I wouldn't spend time trying to complete this activity. It's just not worth it. To put it in perspective, I'm already filming Saints Row 2, and I've already killed 6 of the Hitman targets in the activity just by playing the game. I killed this guy in the entire playthrough, just so I could show you how absolutely absurd this side activity is. Do not recommend.
That's huge with happiness every day at Fashion 99.8.
I want to read about this stuff, not live it.
Man, hold on for a second, man. Perfect. That shit is fucking perfect. Check it out, player. Would you believe that 4 niggas got shot in that car? That ride looks like I jacked it right off the lot. My work's in fucking demand, son. And with you jacking some cars for me, we could both be making some chip. What you say?
Chop Shop's pretty self-explanatory. You're given a list of cars, you go find those cars. Some of the cars require a modification in order to be turned into the Chop Shop, and once you do that, you just give it to the Chop Shop, you get your respect, and you get your money. What's nice about the Chop Shop activity compared to the Hitman activity is at least the cars appear on your minimap, allowing you to find them a lot easier. To me, this is the fastest way to earn RP, minus the hostage taking, which we're not even going to cover in this video. Throughout my playthrough, I will always be doing the Chop Shop activity to keep my rep high so I can keep doing missions. 10 out of 10 do recommend.
Hello. I'm sorry, I'm in a rush. I gotta pick my youngest up from school. Do you have kids? Oh, who am I kidding? You probably have something like 5. Oh, never mind. Anyway, one of my colored friends was talking to me, and she was saying that the real money isn't in piano lessons, it's in this thing called coma. She set up some deals with my son's friends, but I'm a little nervous about going into the city by myself because, well, I'm not poor. Could you be a dear and help me out? If you do, I'll be sure to write you a nice check.
Oh, you would never hear a modern day game in 2026 have a white woman say colored friends. That's immediately a public hanging kind of situation right there. This voice actress would literally be ostracized to like some random island that has one tree and a coconut. Let's talk drug trafficking. It sounds super fun. You're running drugs. It sounds amazing, right? Terrible. It's the worst. It is so incredibly boring and so incredibly repetitive that you will literally want to blow your own brains out, hypothetically, with a whole bunch of information learned from the Bible, of course. There's just too much that's not in the player's control here. You don't control the path in which you drive. You don't control how fast you drive. You don't control how the AI that you're with is going to interact with. And you sure as hell don't control the AI that's coming after you. You can't control the speed in which the AI walks or drives. And what ends up happening a lot of the time is you will die simply because the AI is literally mentally stunted. I avoid drug trafficking activities like the plague. It's just simply not worth your time. They're not fun missions, they're not interesting, and there's nothing unique about them. Moving on. Colored person, ooh.
Reno wants to see you in the back.
What's up, yo? I appreciate you coming around on short notice, man. I got some shit that needs to be worked out. And some cop just transferred to town and he ain't paying me any respect. The bitch came in here running his mouth telling me he was gonna put me out of business. And what that Uncle Tom nigga didn't know was I got a couple of cops on the payroll, and they told me the raid was tonight. I want you to go out there and stir up so much shit, the cops gotta look elsewhere. And while they on your ass, I can hide all the cat. I know it sounds risky, bro, but don't worry. You'll get hazard pay.
Mayhem is most people's favorite activity to do. It's just literally blow shit up until you win. But let me be a little bit honest with you. Sometimes it's incredibly inconsistent. There's a lot of stuff that's outside of the player's control, like car spawns, pedestrian spawns, where police spawn. And what ends up happening a lot of the times is you'll be sent to an area where there's nothing there. You'll show up to an area and it'll say, okay, you get a bonus for destroying compact cars, but then not a single car spawns in the entire 5 minutes you're there. Or you'll be told that you get a bonus for killing gang members, but then no gang members show up. But the most biggest frustration throughout the entire time is when you have like an FBI agent or a police car spawn right beside you and shoot you in the back. Mayhem missions are a love-hate relationship for me. I really enjoy them when they work well. But in Saints Row 1, they often are a buggy mess. Future versions of Saints Row will do this immensely better and with a lot more fun, but it all started here with this activity here in Saints Row 1, and I will say it is fun when it works, but when it doesn't, you will probably get extremely frustrated.
Pretty nice, huh? I was working on that bad boy for 5 months. So, what can I do for you? Were you in a car accident, walking accident, coffee accident, self-inflicted stab wound accident? Your injuries are worth money to both of us. Babe, you stick with me and you're gonna be the richest son of a bitch in the ghetto. Nice tie, isn't it?
Insurance fraud is the activity that everybody thinks about when they think about Saints Row and, well, its activities. It involves you just running and getting hit by a car. It's literally the funnest thing that you can possibly do in the game. I don't know how to explain it, but when you were a kid playing Saints Row, this is exactly what you were doing for some reason. Every memory I have of seeing somebody play Saints Row involves them doing this activity. And it's a twofold reason why. One, it's incredibly fun to watch the numbers go up and try to get the biggest crash possible. But two, the reason why I always saw people doing it is because it suffers from the same exact problems that the Mayhem does, is sometimes cars don't spawn. But adding to the frustration just slightly is the ragdoll physics. Sometimes you get hit by a car, you fly millions of miles away and you gain so much money, the point where the number going up just says lots. Other times you get hit by a car going 100 miles an hour and you move 3 feet and you get $500. Inconsistency is the problem for Saints Row 1. That being said, insurance fraud is still my favorite mission to do in every Saints Row game.
Are you crazy, man? The derby's about to start. You're just standing around out here, you could get really hurt. Woo! Don't mind my brother, he's just being a pussy. Hop in a car, man. There ain't nothing better than smashing cars for money.
I know I'm gonna piss people off here, but Demolition Derby sucks. It is one of the worst activities to do in Saints Row 1. In Saints Row 2, it's fantastic. In all the future ones, it's great. In Saints Row 1, you might as well grab a couple rusty nails and just shove them through your eyelids, while simultaneously letting a honey badger chew your kneecaps off. It is not even an activity where you're fighting against yourself and your skill level. It's an activity where you're fighting against the game mechanics of itself. Something which is so out of your control, it's not even funny. You will run head on into a car and for some reason you'll explode. You'll get hit by a car and you'll explode. You won't go anywhere near a car and you'll explode. Cars are built like a 3D printed dragon being sold by your local left-wing hipster at your local farmer's market. They're built like garbage. They're built like trash. What ends up happening is either A, the AI destroys itself before you can do anything, or you get destroyed by the AI before you can do anything, or you get lucky. You get that little luck once in a while and you get to kill somebody and that completes your goal. As I said before, future iterations of Saints Row will do this so much better. Saints Row 2's Demolition Derby for me is peak, but the Demolition Derby in Saints Row 1 is literally like trying to walk on glass up a 45-degree angle. It is just painful to do, and it takes so much trial and error, the fun is removed from it. I'm moving on before I have to go do a high dive jump and see how much the concrete is cushiony at the bottom.
Okay, people, if you're not at the line in 5, you're not racing. Look, hun, if you want to race today, you better hurry up. There's some real money to be made if you got some skills.
Racing. There's not really much to be said about it except for an entire gang inside of Saints Row 1 is focused around racing. The game's 20 years old and sadly, you know, the game mechanics aren't really there for it. I've always had this philosophy when it comes to racing. If your game is not a racing game, then you should probably not have racing in your game. There's only been a handful of games that have done racing right when racing isn't part of their actual entire game. Mostly notable is, I'm going to have to say it, is Grand Theft Auto 5 and its racing scene. It's amazing. Saints Row 1, the cars handle like they're glued to the road. You can literally make a right angle turn at 100 million miles an hour. What I do appreciate about the racing is that you can bring any car to the race and you can feel like you can compete. For the most part, there is some races where it's just like, okay, I have to have the fastest car here in order to compete, but you won't know know that until you arrive to the race, so sometimes there is a bit of trial and error. Tracks are reasonably fun, they're short, and it never feels like it's impeding. I would say racing is one of the better activities to do inside of Saints Row 1. That being said, we should also 100% note that the AI will not fight fair. They will ram you off the road, they will smash you into buildings, they will do whatever they can to destroy you, and then on top of it, rival gangs will show up and shoot only you. So often, you're not just doing a race, you're trying to live and survive. Moving on, it's loans. You can go get a loan, that's the gameplay loop. They give you money, you give him money back. This is actually listed as an actual official side activity for you to do. It doesn't even build rep. With that being said, though, we just accomplished going over every activity that helps you build your rep. You have to do this. So yes, it took up a big chunk of our video, but it also takes up the majority of your gameplay time. In order to progress the story, you have to do side activities to earn reputation. In total, you're going to need 55 levels of reputation in order to be able to do the full story. Reputation is used to do strongholds as well as the main story quests. My advice to you is to focus on the ones that you like and save the ones that you don't like for when you absolutely have to do them. Now we get to continue the story. Another activity that you're going to have to do no matter what is strongholds, but strongholds are directly tied to you having a bunch of reputation. Stronghold missions vary from spray painting a random location to storming a location and killing everybody in it. And though that sounds cool, in all reality, it doesn't really ever evolve into anything else. It's essentially the same thing you've already been doing, except for indoors. Taking over a stronghold progresses the story with each individual gang, and it also gives you that district, but you never go back to these locations to see how each individual stronghold is doing. Say you take over a drug lab, you'll never return to that drug lab to do missions to upgrade that drug lab. You just simply have it now, and then it just becomes an empty building again. Later Saints Row games would do this a little bit better, but never to the full extent that they possibly could. But taking over the stronghold nets you a district, so at least you're earning some money. Okay, so we've noted everything that we can possibly do that is a side activity for the most part. There's collectibles, there's graffiti tags and CDs to find, and there's jumps that you can do. Overall, we've accomplished everything. I will never reference any of these side activities again, and instead we're just going to hyper focus on the main story. This is to save you guys a little bit of time, because in between missions, sometimes you'll have to do like 25 to 30 minutes of just snatch activities to get the rep to do the next mission. Moving forward, just know that every time we did a story mission, I had to do about, 30 to 40 minutes of side activities in order to be able to earn the rep to complete that mission. And while some of these missions are incredibly fun for side activities, for the most part, it wouldn't make an interesting video if it was like, hey, we just did this story mission, now let's go do 30 minutes of insurance fraud. So for your viewing pleasure, just know that it's been done. The same thing can be said for strongholds. They don't push the story further along. There's no cutscenes. They don't interact. It doesn't change anything. So just know that each and every gang that we fight moving forward, I did the strongholds as they appeared up on my screen. Moving through the rest of this nostalgic deep dive, we're just going to focus on the main story only. So let's head into the next prologue mission, as I'm calling it. Everything we've done so far is literally the prologue. It's the beginning of the game. And to start our next mission, we have to drive to the 3rd Street Saints Church. By the way, I do genuinely believe that the church is like the coolest safe house in any game that's ever been made ever, and I challenge you to give me a better version of a cool headquarters. The Batcave, shut up.
I got a tip that there's a turf war going on right now. If we crash the party, we could take all those sons of bitches out at once.
Hope you're strapped, player, because we about to go in hard.
No, your headphones are not broken. The audio in Saints Row will for some reason bounce between left and right sometimes. Now, you could argue that it's because that's the direction your ears are facing, but when you're wearing headphones, it's extremely annoying, and this doesn't happen in future Saints Row games. It wouldn't be so annoying if the audio level stayed the same, but when you turn your head, for some reason the audio gets quieter and louder randomly. I'm going to do my best to adjust this in post-edit, but I cannot guarantee you it's going to be every time. So what's our task? Well, we got to go to the docks, and we got to kill an absolute buttload of Canales. This is how we're going to reclaim the Saints gang territory. One thing that I think that Saints Row does absolutely beautiful is making you feel like you're genuinely part of the gang. They do this in a few ways. Obviously, we started at the bottom with our fight to join the gang, and then we were sent out to take out tasks. But as we progressed, we'll be able to call on more and more gang members to help us in our individual fights. And this is actually very important, as some missions literally require you to have some people in your car to help shoot back at the enemy. It's not just an afterthought is what I'm getting at. There's actual mission structure that makes it so if you're not using your gang members, you're going to have a harder time than you need to. But another great way that it makes you feel like you're part of the gang is when you're doing these big attacks, your gang members will show up to help fight the other gang members, and their gang members will show up to help fight against you. But at the same time, when you do these big pushes, you genuinely feel like you're part of a crew, like you're actually doing something with a group of people who want to take over the area. A great way to explain what I'm trying to get at is like, take Call of Duty. You're part of this like super task force, right? You're part of a squad, and that squad works together to take down the targets. Except for you, the character, have to do everything. You have to open the doors, you have to shoot the targets, you have to stop the vehicle, you have to do the driving. You never feel like you're part of a team because you are doing everything. Now, while Saints Row does have you doing everything, you can visually see your allies running around doing things around you, shooting people, opening doors, throwing people out of cars, blowing up cars. And in fact, later, when the gangs are taking over territory, sometimes you only have to kill 2 or 3 lieutenants and your allies will kill the rest and you get that territory back. So a game that came out in 2006 somehow makes you feel like you're actually part of a gang better than games that came out in 2026. It's just worth noting. So with us, the Saints, taking over this docking area, we will get a cutscene.
Listen up, people. I got some serious shit to discuss. Yeah, we cleared out the row. You think for a second that's gonna stop them? Unless we wipe all these motherfuckers out, they're gonna keep coming. And they ain't gonna be happy. It ain't gonna be settled until the Canales, the Rollers, and the Vice Kings ain't nothing but a memory. Dex, you got the Canales. Ever since they hooked up with the Colombians, it's like they own this town. And with that drug money rolling in, we can't compete. Be smart how you move against them. The Lopez family been running that gang for 30 years. There's a reason they still around.
Got it.
Troy, you dealing with the Vice Kings.
Not a chance.
Fuck you say?
Anyone but them.
You scared of going against Benjamin King?
Man, fuck that. I'll take King out.
Johnny, it's not that simple.
Bullets still kill motherfuckers, right? Doesn't get much simpler than that.
Keep an eye on your boy.
I don't need a fucking babysitter, Julius.
Keep an eye on your boy.
Who's got the rollers?
I do.
Lynn?
The fuck you wearing blue for?
I asked Lynn to hook up with the Rollers. We don't know much about these fuckers, so I wanted one of us on the inside.
I didn't think the Rollers pimped hoes.
Any other comments?
Yeah, when you punch, don't throw your shoulders so much.
Shut up, Johnny.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Once we're done here, go talk to one of these guys. They'll have something for you to do. It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
Everybody's version of how they're going to play Saints Row is going to be different. I prefer to deal with one gang at a time. Other people like to do a little bit of each gang throughout their playthrough. For our playthrough, we're going to be doing one gang at a time, and the first one we're going to be starting with is the Vice Kings. The game pushes you towards the Los Canales. Probably butchered that, don't mind. But I prefer to start with the Vice Kings because I find it to be the better version to start with. The missions are more structured and not as chaotic and unfair. We'll get to that when we get to the Los Canales missions. And the High Roller missions, well, they're just so damn easy, it's not fun to start with at all. But however you prefer to do it is going to lean to your particular taste when you play the game. Do you like racing? Do you like action? Or do you like a little bit of a political drama? I lean towards the political drama side with the Vice King. And that's the beauty of Saints Row, is everybody has a way to go, depending on what you like. So we're going to head to the church and we're going to talk to Gat and do a favor for Aisha. By the way, Gat's the best character in Saints Row, hands down. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Take a seat, man. So you're Julius's new boy, huh? You don't look like much. Then again, I don't look like I have an 8-inch cock, so I guess we're both full of surprises. The Vice Kings are named after one guy, Benjamin King. And that shit don't happen unless you're a professional or a badass. And in King's case, he's both. Hold up, I gotta take this. Aisha, what a pleasant fucking surprise. Whoa, 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 slow down. Okay, that's not slower, that's louder. Shit, where's she headed? No, don't worry, I got this.
What's up?
Some motherfuckers grabbed Aisha's sister right off the street.
Shit, man. That's the 6th girl this month. We know who's doing this?
Yeah, the Vice Kings.
No way, man. Kidnapping ain't King style.
Maybe that's Latanya's going behind King's back. Don't know, don't fucking care. Now, Aisha said they were driving a yellow sedan. Tail those bitches back to wherever they go and get those girls back.
Nothing like starting a fresh video game and having to do an escort/tailing mission immediately. I will say though, in Saints Row 1, the tailing missions are actually done really well. They give you a big area in which you have to stay in, and then they give you a smaller area on the minimap in which you can then see where you're going to be detected. I like this because a lot of games will just say don't get too close, but then the distance in which you have to stay away is completely and utterly undistinguishable. You have no idea where the safe, non-safe area is. So let's give credit where credit's due when it comes to the tailing mission. At least we have a clear sense of where we should be. Now, I've already stated that this is a 20-year-old game, where in 2026, the game came out in 2006. There's going to be a lot of bugs and issues on newer generations of hardware, and we're actually going to experience that right away, right off the bat. Now, what I didn't tell you is I've already had to mod the game just to get it to run. I've already had to make sure that we did a whole bunch of tweaking in behind the scenes just to have this game function as well, a video game. But one thing I can't control is the fact that even back in 2006, when Saints Row released, it was a buggy nightmare. And due to the limitations of the hardware, a lot of the bugs happen because now on newer hardware, we can run things at higher graphic settings, higher frame rates, and a whole bunch of other stuff that just didn't simply exist back then. In fact, throughout this entire playthrough, we've already referenced it, you're going to see street lights and car headlights that just randomly appear in behind walls and buildings and such. And for the life of me, I can't figure out how to fix that. But another thing that's going to happen is every once in a while, things just kind of pop in and out of existence. Essentially what's going to happen here is we're going to follow the yellow car all the way to a warehouse. Then we're going to break into said warehouse. We're going to then kill the Vice Kings that are in the warehouse. Then we're going to save Aisha's sister and a couple other ladies of the night. And then we're going to leave and drive those ladies of the night back to the church. It'll only be after I get to the church that I realize for some reason I can't complete the mission. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. At first, I thought it was because I had to kill the rest of the Vice Kings. And then I thought maybe I forgot one of the ladies of the night back at the warehouse. And it turned out no. The lady of the night had actually teleported into the building beside the building I was in, and that building is a non-interior building. I can't go into it. This is going to happen a lot through our playthrough, so if you see a random cut in the middle of a mission, most likely it's due to a bug that I can't control. This is going to be very common as we cover retro games. In fact, in Assassin's Creed, the video before this one, I kept getting stuck in buildings, I couldn't jump into hay bales, or I would get stuck inside of trees because simply the hardware is different. Moving forward, I'm not going to harp on you guys during this deep dive in our journey through Saints Row 1 about these bugs and glitches. Just know that they do exist if you choose to play it on your own time. So I ended up resetting my entire game and restarted the entire mission, and when we got back to the church, with all of the ladies of the night and Aisha's sister this time, we were able to complete the mission. Just something to note for our deep dive. Our next mission going against the Vice Kings has us breaking Aisha's contract. She actually works for the Vice King's leader, Benjamin King, at his record label. So we need to blow that contract up.
God, you haven't changed at all, have you?
Well, not all of us have a couple $1 million to make changes.
It's always the same shit
Oh,
you choose.
here we go again.
What did you want me to do? Did you expect me not to take my shot?
No, I expected you to remember where you came from.
Oh, fuck you, Johnny.
Fuck me? Fuck you! You're the one who ran off to be famous. The only time you remember who we are is when you want something.
My sister was kidnapped.
And I brought her back, didn't I?
No, he did.
Bullshit! I told him to do it. No offense.
Look, if you're gonna help me, help me. But don't you dare try to hold it over me.
Fine.
Fine.
Fine! Relax, man. I'd like you to meet Saints Row's claim to fame. This is Aisha. And tonight, we gonna kill her.
He's being melodramatic. See, I'm signed with Kingdom Come Records.
And it's no secret that the label is owned by the Vice King.
But the real deal is that once you're in, you can't get out. They rip you off left and right, and they extort you to stay signed. I've talked to Johnny, and he said that you might be willing to help me.
Now check it out. Ish has a recording session in a few minutes. That's when we make her disappear and give the Vice Kings a nice fuck you while we're at it. I want you to take Aisha to her session, but on the way, stop at the chop shop to have your ride loaded up with some C4. Park the car at the studio and get the hell out of there. Ish, make sure someone sees you before you jump out.
Johnny, I really appreciate it.
Whatever. I was gonna blow that place up anyway.
You just know Gat is super loyal and like the best friend you could ever have. But you also know if you cross him, he's going to hurt you 10 times worse than you hurt him. One thing we should note for our deep dive right off the bat is the pacing in Saints Row is superb. If you do all of your respect missions, your activities first, the story just goes from set piece to set piece and you never have that feeling of a lull. If you don't do the respect missions first, then you're going to have these massive lulls that's going to make the story feel disjointed. I highly recommend putting it all together and doing your side activities first, then doing your gang missions. Arriving at the chop shop, we're going to find out Aisha's got herself a little bit of a stalker.
Aisha, why haven't you called me back?
Oh, God, him again?
Now, the stalker actually holds no relevance to the story. It's just pushing the narrative along a little bit in the aspect that Aisha's famous. The one thing we should note when it comes to the stalker is every once in a while, Saints Row 1 likes to do these difficulty settings of, hey, this person's invincible. There is absolutely zero way for you to distinguish who is and who is not an invincible story target. You can sit here and shoot the stalker for forever and he will never die. When it comes to like a main story villain, you can understand this because you don't want him to die too early, but when it comes to random side characters, I never understood making him invincible. Another thing that Saints Row will randomly do to make your life difficult is just go, hey, we're just gonna put a giant object in your way, so no matter what, you have to find your way around it. No matter what bridge you decide to cross to get to the other side of the city, there will be a random oil tanker and police blocking your way. So you're going to have to drive through it, which sometimes gets you aggroed by the police, which causes you some problems because your car is a literal bomb. These random moments is the difficulty setting Saints Row chose to go with. Saints Row by no means is a difficult game. In fact, Saints Row 2 added difficulty settings. Saints Row 1 is just consistently fun, and there's nothing wrong with that per se. The issue comes from just random spikes in difficulty, or as I like to call it, unfair settings. Making a random reporter / stalker invincible is not a fair gameplay setting. Blocking off an entire highway to force the player to ram a police car is not a fair difficulty setting. But with perseverance, you can always get through it, like we did.
Running a little late today?
Hey now, you gotta look good to sound good.
Want me to let him know you're in?
Would you do that for me?
She's here, Mr. Williams.
Now, while I take out this Vice King's stronghold, I need to just explain something real quick. I don't know if it was just a time in which the game was made, but for some reason, they just have these hard cuts at the end of a cutscene. The best way to explain my frustration with the way that the game just cuts off the cutscene is it's almost like being blue-balled, or edged, if you will. You get all the way there and you're expecting one more thing to happen, and then Volition's like, nah, we're just gonna cut the black and tell you gained a new territory. We just blew up a whole building and we saw nothing. We just saw a bunch of windows smash and there's no bodies, there was no conclusion. Aisha just ran away. Now, we know that we just faked Aisha's death, but from a gameplay and / immersion perspective, you're just expecting to see something a little bit more. Where did Aisha go? Who picked her up? Did we pick her up? Did Gap pick her up? Did she drive herself away? Did any of the Vice Kings see her get away? Did somebody film it? Where did we go? We were also in the car bomb. What happened here? It doesn't ruin the game at all. It doesn't actually bring the game down at all, because in 2006 when the game released, we didn't even think about something like this. But now through the art of video games, we can look back at this, even though nostalgic, and go, oh, that's a little bit weird how it just hard cuts. Because we as a viewer can sit here and go, there's a lot of questions that are left unanswered here. Sure, we saw Aisha get away, but what if she went out the back door and was immediately captured by the Vice Kings? We don't have an answer to that, and if she did get captured by the Vice Kings, we would then have questions. The truth of the matter is that we won't really see her other than the brief glimpse here or there in random cutscenes. So if you're looking for conclusion in each individual mission, Volition and Saints Row 1 will often leave you feeling like you are lacking that conclusion. There's absolutely zero closure when it comes to doing the mission until the very end of the entire gang storyline, which, by the way, will explain nothing that happened in between each and every one of these hard cuts. It's not game breaking, it's not story breaking, but it is a little bit immersion breaking, if you will. I will never mention this again, just know that it's not me editing the cutscenes and cutting them there. That is the way that the game is intended. That's the same reason why I always share the complete cutscenes. I want you all to see it the way that the developers made it and intended it. and you and me can formulate our own opinions moving forward. My guess is it was just a limitation of the time. Let's briefly talk about strongholds. Sometimes when you have to progress a story, you got to do a stronghold, like the one you're seeing here in this footage. As I said before, strongholds aren't hard to do, and they're usually pretty easy, and I'm just going to use them if I need to talk to you guys throughout the video, like we just did. Moving forward, let's just focus on the main story. Our next mission has us meeting Gat at Freckle Bitches while he's on a date with Aisha. How did Aisha get back to Gat? We have no idea. But Gat's got this idea to take out the sloot of the Vice Kings, Tanya, or otherwise known as Meg Griffin. She's slept her way to the top of the gang, and she's using her assets to gain notoriety in the gang. Say that twice. So we're going to take out some of her interests, if you will. A common thread throughout the rest of the Saints Row game.
I know you're supposed to be dead and all, but you have to look this pissed?
Johnny, you said you'd take me out to dinner.
And here we are.
At Freckle Bitches?
Where else would we go?
Someplace good? Why couldn't you have taken me to Mykonos?
Aisha, it's not like... Hey, what's up? Perfect timing.
You boys talk. I'll be right back.
Whatever. She don't appreciate fine dining. Now, I've been talking to Isha's sister. Turns out, Tanya's been fucking people in every sense of the word. Not only is she blowing King's bodyguard, Big Tony, but she's fucking Warren Williams, a numbers guy, whenever Tony ain't looking. Now, between Tony and Warren, the only person she isn't leading around by their cock is King. So I'm thinking, we put the hurt on Tanya, we're fucking up the Vice Kings. And she's got an operation in Prawn Court. That's where we'll start. Roll in there and put the murder on anyone you see, customers included. Who wants to die for a blowjob, right? When you go for Tanya, be careful. She probably got some muscle in there.
The mission structure is simple enough for a game made in 2006. We run around the map of Stillwater and we kill 4 patrols of enemy Vice Kings. There's both a good and bad when it comes to fighting the AI inside of Saints Row. Let's start with the good. The controls for the game suck. They literally suck. They sucked even back in 2006. But the AI also sucks, so that means that they kind of counter each other out and make a null. In order to be able to kill the gang members, you simply drive in front of them and shoot them in their car. Otherwise, you're going to get out and they're going to stand in front of you and you're going to shoot them like we're in colonial warfare. This works because both the controls and the AI suck. If the AI was better than you, then you can definitely feel it. This will come into a case later on when you're fighting like the bosses who seem to have like aimbot. Overall, because the controls suck and the AI sucks, it's a big no. But the bad part about it all is that it gets really repetitive really fast. Once you figure out how to do it and how to fight the AI inside of the cars as well as on foot, it becomes incredibly predictable, and once it's predictable, it becomes incredibly easy, which then becomes nullifyingly boring. But it's made in 2006. Cut it a break, guys. Like, don't be so hard on it. I know I wrote the script and everything, but I'm blaming you. Once we kill the 4 patrols, we're going to head to a warehouse where we're going to then try to fight our way in to find Tanya. And by warehouse, I mean a brothel. If you don't know what a brothel is, well, you're too young to be watching this video, but it's basically a giant house for sex. And as far as giant brothel houses go, this one's pretty fancy. Essentially, what you have to do is you have to run around the brothel and you have to kill all of the Vice Kings who are in different stages of coitus. Wet macaroni noises, I like to call it. Throughout this, you can really see how predictable the AI is. And once again, I want to stress, it's both the best and the worst part about the game, is while the AI is incredibly predictable, at least it makes it fair. To reference its direct competitor, if you go play GTA Vice City, when you're storming the mansion, often what ends up happening is you, the character, are being shot before you even have any single enemy on your screen, and you can't help but be, well, frustrated by that. I will say that Saints Row does a great job of at least allowing you to enter the room. For the most part, there will be times where you feel like you are kind of being a little bit cheesed, if you will. Now, obviously, as we play through the franchise, this will become better over time. I would say that the combat in Saints Row 1 is a bit too easy, but I think it had to be for the time. We have been absolutely spoiled by combat throughout the last 20 years of gaming. And we need to remember, when we look back and we think about it, this game is retro. It's 20 years old. It's archaic. But it is the literal foundation for games that came after it. So while we can harp on it for the way it is now, back then, this was cutting-edge technology, baby. The way the AI just stands up and stands there and lets you shoot them, that's some good quality stuff. Then the way they crouch down and hide, didn't get better than that. Once we kill all the Vice Kings inside of the brothel, we will then own it, because that's the way realty works. You kill everybody who lives there and it becomes yours. That's how it works. Remember Fable?
How much is this studio incident gonna set us back?
The incident? I'm sorry. I thought some motherfuckers blew up my shit. I didn't realize it ain't no thing.
How much?
Including the loss of revenue from Aisha's death, I'd say we talking millions.
Okay, we got a few contractors that owe us. Convince them to hook us up. That takes care of the building. As for Aisha, throw together some memorial box set. People eat that shit up. That should recoup some of our losses. How's Tanya's side of things?
Grip is short, Mr. King.
I'm not happy, Anthony. You said she could handle it.
It's not her fault, Mr. King. The Saints have been fucking with her.
That's what I'm talking about. Are you gonna let these bitches disrespect us?
Everybody calm the fuck down. We ain't gonna start a war every time some motherfuckers act hard.
We gotta talk about the Saints.
Thank you.
Hey, baby. They've taken Prawn Court.
How did this happen?
How the fuck you think it happened? Look, we need to get together here and just...
What we need is for you to shut the fuck up. You feel me?
Yeah.
What?
Yes, Mr. King.
I'll have Monroe put some pressure on the Saints. While they're distracted, it should be easy to take back what's ours. Everything else is business as usual. Understood? Now, this meeting is over.
With the brothel taking over, we earned the district, but then as we progress through the story, what ends up happening is that the gangs in which we're fighting, the Vice Kings, the Los Carnales, and the High Rollers, they'll start trying to retake their gang territory. The first time you play this, you think, oh my god, this is like a crazy thing, like it's a push and pull, it's a tug of war, my gang versus their gang. When in reality, what it actually boils down to is that you just won't earn money from that district as long as it's being attacked. Clearing the district will earn you some respect and allow you to collect your hourly income, but if you don't clear the district, it won't be attacked again because it's already being attacked. There's a few ways to look at it. You could look at it the way that I do. It's just something that's happening and it doesn't affect the story at all. If I go clear that district, it's just going to get attacked again by the Vice Kings or the Carnales or the High Rollers, and I'm just going to constantly be going back there. Money doesn't actually play that big of a role in your story of Saints Row 1, so I just always leave the districts to be attacked. For immersion's sake, you are expected to go and take it out, which we're doing here simply so I can talk to you. At the very end of the game, before you can complete the entire story, you have to retake control of all of these districts anyway, so I just choose to wait until then when it's actually story crucial. Up until then and throughout this playthrough, you're going to notice that some of my districts are being attacked at all times. In all reality, in my experience, in this playthrough specifically, they only attack 3 districts at a time for each gang, which means that I'm still making bank. And seeing on how I have to take it out at the end anyway, I just let them stay there. It literally doesn't change anything for you, but it might frustrate you whenever I open my mini-map and you see them being attacked. You can still progress the story either way, and even after the Vice Kings are gone and the other gangs are gone, their gang still continues to attack those regions. So it's one of those things that's completely up to you. Just know, I'm going to let them be constantly under attack. Continuing with the story.
Good thing you're here. I was about to leave without you. Now, I don't think I'm feeling the bat today. This is always the hardest part for me, you know? Balancing stopping power with personal enjoyment. Ooh, yeah, I'm feeling this. It ain't gonna be easy clearing all those VKs out of the station, so I told my crew to meet us there. Let's ride.
Now, I said earlier that the Vice Kings are very political. Benjamin King, the leader of the Vice Kings, works very closely with the Stillwater government. Politicians, police, and firefighters, you name it, he's got his hands in their pocket, to the point where he literally has dinner with these people. And through those connections, he's been allowed to use an old police station as a sort of stronghouse or warehouse. And currently, inside that warehouse is where Tanya is, which is why we're going after her. This is the reason why I like to always start with the Vice Kings when I'm playing Saints Row 1. For me, I like the political aspect of it. Sadly, when it comes to the Saints, they never actually get to experience the same benefits that the other gangs do. Specifically, when we're talking about the Vice Kings, even when we take out the Vice Kings, we don't gain anything when it comes to the police. They don't let us get away with any more than we could before, and they don't go easier on us than they did before we took out the gangs. I would have loved to have seen that back in 2006, that when we took out the Vice Kings, we gained the same benefits that the gang had. Like, yes, we own technically the police station, but for us personally, there would never be any reason for us to ever return here other than when the game forces us back here because the territory is being taken over. This very much mirrors the same thing I said earlier in the video. Taking over these districts and doing these strongholds and gaining the gang's territory would have so much more impact if there was a reason to come back here. And this sentiment was very much mirrored by myself and many others back in 2006, to the point where they did in later iterations of Saints Row fix this, where you could upgrade strongholds and you could upgrade your headquarters. But from the political aspect of it all, I would have loved to have seen us be able to create some sort of connections within the police force ourselves. Now, without getting into spoilers, there is a reason for this. And seeming how the game's 20 years old, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you should already know why we can't gain a connection to the police department. And technically, wink wink, we already have the closest connection we ever could, wink wink. Now, storming the police department isn't going to be hard at all. It's just it's again just another stronghold that's filled with a bunch of bad guys. But getting to the top, we're going to figure out that actually the Vice Kings had set a trap of their own for us. And sadly, we are stupid enough that we fall for it. But because our character is the main character, we have something called plot armor, which means no matter what, we're somehow always going to work our way through the situation. That being said, though, we also get to see how much of a badass Johnny Gat is. By the way, he's still my favorite character in the entire franchise. I don't care what you say. There is not one character that is better than Johnny Gat. This dude literally gets shot in the knee and still tells him to fuck off.
Come back anytime to get served.
How about you drop the gun, honey?
If I were you, I'd listen to the lady.
Well, of course you would, you being her bitch.
Watch your fucking mouth.
Hey, no reason to be hostile.
You packing anything else?
Just some rubbers. I was hoping I could get some of William's sloppy seconds. Guess I hit a nerve.
Do yourself a favor, stay down and shut the fuck up. You 3rd Street motherfuckers think you so smart. Well, check this out. We ain't impressed. Hell, the only reason you got as far as you did was cause King let you. We led you right to where we wanted you, and now the police gonna finish your ass for good, just the way we planned.
Well, that explains how your bitch lost Prawn Court.
Are you gonna let him talk about me like that?
Don't worry, baby, I got this.
Yeah, Tanya, shut the fuck up.
I thought I told you to be quiet.
I got shitty hearing.
Now you got a shitty leg.
So do you.
Go now! Baby, we better call King.
Hey, player. One of Johnny's crew got out of there in time and told me what went down. If the cops are working for the Kings, you gotta get up the street fast. Hurry up and get back to the church. We'll figure out a way to get Johnny back home.
Okay, it's time for me to talk about one of my biggest pet peeves in gaming. It's when you're under attack and for some reason you're forced into an animation that you can't break. When Julius calls us to tell us to escape because the entire town's trying to kill us, including the Vice Kings and the police, I can't get into the car, but I'm also simultaneously being shot by the Vice Kings. I hate when games do this, and it really pisses me off. If you watch my Assassin's Creed video, we talk about this because every time you do a citizen save, it locks your screen for 15 seconds while you get attacked. Don't do this, video game developers. This is still a problem in 2026.
Trust me, he ain't going nowhere.
Damn good work, Tony. I'll stop by after I pay a visit to Hughes.
I'll see you soon, boss.
So what do we do now?
We wait.
Oh, hold on, dawg. That motherfucker's still out there. The fuck you mean we wait?
I mean, you're gonna sit your black ass down and wait 'cause I fucking said so. Don't worry about the one that got away. The 5-0 will take care of him.
Oh, so while you lounging, Trey Street keeps jacking us. That's great. That's fucking brilliant.
Slow up, little nigga.
Come on, King. This is some bullshit. Let me get a crew together. I could roll into the row and drop all them bitches. I'm telling you.
No.
But Mr. King...
I said no. Don't make me say it a 3rd time. Warren, my man, you got the music scene locked down. I need you to bring in the cheddar, not get shot because you think you got something to prove.
I can do this.
Maybe, but we ain't gonna find out. We got the cops busting up 3rd Street for us, and we got Julius Lieutenant tied up in Anthony's condo. Everything's going our way right now, so just chill. Your time gonna come, Warren. It just ain't happening now. Understood?
Yeah, we straight.
You think it'll work?
It has to. Sit down, son. We got a way to rescue Johnny.
The shit Johnny said about Warren and Tanya really got to Tony. Now the only time she's allowed out of his sight is when she's checking on the rebuilding of the recording studio.
Every day that bitch gets driven to the construction site in a limo, then sneaks off to get a freak on with Warren before she goes back home to Tony. While she's busy sucking cock, you deal with the chauffeur and take his place. When she's done wiping her mouth, she'll have you drive her back. Once you're at Tony's, it's all up to you.
Please bring Johnny back. Just don't tell him I was worried.
Ah, yes, the 4-ply candles. If only they knew in 2006 that in 2019 lighting toilet paper on fire would literally cause a riot, they went to put them inside of that cutscene. Now, this is a busy work quest. This is what I'm going to call it. It's a whole lot of random stuff just to pad out time. Saints Row by no means is a long game if you take out the side activity stuff. In fact, it says it takes about 8 to 10 hours to finish the game, but that includes mandatory side stuff. You know, the activities. In reality, each gang can be taken out in maybe an hour, hour and a half. In fact, we're almost done with the Vice Kings and we have only been talking about it for like 20 minutes. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I will take a short, well-told story that's really fun over a long, drawn-out experience like Assassin's Creed Valhalla any single day of the week. I am very much quality over quantity, and I think Saints Row is the perfect amount of both. And if anything, if we're being hypercritical here, it might have too much side stuff. It might focus on that too much. But it's all going to come down to personal preference. I'm a person who personally wants to play the game from beginning to end, and I don't want to have to do mandatory side content in order to be able to progress the story. Other people don't mind it, so I understand it's going to be personal taste. Driving to the location, we're going to find out that Tanya is in fact going to go inside to suck some dick, and the guy doesn't take that long.
Hello, Miss Winters.
Is Warren here?
He's in the back.
Keep the car running. Knowing Warren, I should be back shortly.
Now, taking control of the limo is as simple as simply shooting the driver, except for the fact that you're going to fight the camera controls a lot when you're trying to do car-to-car combat. The sad truth is that the camera sits too high to do close-range shots, but then if you get too far away, the guns aren't that accurate. So often, a lot of times when you have to simply take out a target, they end up driving away, and it makes the fight a little bit more drawn out than it needs to be. Ironically, in Saints Row 2, the camera is too close to the car, and you have the exact opposite problem. Once we take control of the limo, though, we'll be able to drive back and pick up Tanya. And here's where the busy work's gonna start.
Well, I got some time to kill before Tony expects me back. Might as well do a little shopping.
Yeah, it's one of those quests, one of those missions, if you will, where you just gotta do a bunch of random driving around and waiting. So we're gonna take Tanya to go, well, shopping. And that's it. Nothing happens. That's it. You just drive her to go shopping.
Stop by Friendly Fire? I'd like to pick something up for Tony.
And then, well, you take her to go shopping. Now, I won't lie. Along the way, she gives you little tidbits about, like, the aspects of the Vice Kings gang, but none of it really actually matters. She basically explains that there's a little bit of infighting happening, which we've already seen, and other than that, that's it. That's literally all.
Hey, player. We got a problem. Some of Troy's crew didn't hear the plan and decided they were going to hit Tanya when she was in her limo.
Take me back
These
to
are our
707
boys,
Springfield.
and I don't want them getting hurt.
It's the Saints!
Okay, so now the 3rd Street Saints are attacking me, a 3rd Street Saint who is doing a plan to take down the Vice Kings, but they're also activating a plan to take out the Vice Kings. Now, logic dictates that you just call their cell phones. This is 2006. Not everybody had cell phones. It's not like today. Those were better times, freer times. We weren't limited by our battery life and social media. That being said, we still have to outrun our gang members who are trying to kill us, even though we are them. To do so, all we have to do is drive really fast, and then they'll just kind of like forget about us and give up, and we'll be able to return to Anthony's apartment where we're going to engage in some combat of the pistol kind.
Don't you
I always find it funny how our character is able to just sneak around all these penthouses and mansions and he never gets caught. We're the only dude wearing purple, we're the only bald guy, and we're the only ones sneaking around. Yet for some reason, we're able to just walk up into this penthouse of this building unseen. Now, the combat inside Anthony's apartment is a little bit confusing, and it's mostly just due to the camera. The camera in Saints Row 1 it's awful. It's constantly getting hooked on things, and it's never actually pointed the direction you need it to be. And in close quarters fight, like inside of Anthony's apartment, it ends up being a little bit frustrating to navigate. Now, I actually have a theory on this that it has to do with the fact that now we're playing on high resolution screens, because I don't remember this being a problem when I was playing on a 27-inch CRT TV, but I have no evidence to back that up. It's just my opinions on the matter. Another thing Saints Row likes to do is when it comes to bosses, they just have more health. It's funny how even in 2006, developers' solution to a boss fight when they didn't have any sort of new mechanics to introduce to the game is just more health. It's like they all sat around a boardroom at the same time and said, you know what, everybody? The difficulty setting is bullet sponge. The whole time we're fighting, though, Gat's laying on the ground on a chair, which means he's still alive and we can save him. Because if he was dead, we all know where he's going. So once Anthony is dead, we can then save our boy Gat. And I guess Tanya just, I don't know, walked away or whatever. I don't know.
Hey, not to be pushy or nothing, but how about you get me out of this fucking chair? About fucking time you got here. Where's Green? That's much better. I heard Green say that he's got some heavy shit in the back. I'll have some of our boys roll on over and bring the hardware back to the crib.
So we got our boy Gat back, and now it's time to take the fight to the Vice Kings. The easiest way to destroy a gang is by ruining their reputation. Right now, Benjamin King's carefully crafted a gang that is highly looked at as reasonable and fair. He's a record label. He has dinner with the police chief and mayor. Well, the 3rd Street Saints are going to destroy that.
Dex, don't worry, I have a plan. Johnny, your idea of a plan is taking the biggest hammer you can find and smashing whatever's in your way.
Well, that sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah, a shitty one, as your whack-ass robo-leg clearly proves.
Oh, fuck you.
Next time you try that cowboy shit, you might not walk away at all.
No, seriously. Fuck you.
Look, I worked out a plan that will hurt the Kings and put minimum risk on you.
How much murdering do I get to do?
None.
Your plan blows.
Hear me out, all right? Kings obviously got something going on with the police. I'll figure that shit out. In the meantime, I want you two to go out and cause some havoc. If we can turn the public's eye to the Kings, then the police won't have a choice but to come down on them.
Okay, so we go and do some damage. How did the VKs get blamed?
Put these on.
I'm yellow enough as it is, Dex.
Just put the damn shirt on.
Fine. Get dressed. We got a little piece to disturb.
Man, this game would never be released in 2026. The Asian guy said he's already yellow enough. That's crazy. No wonder the Saints Row reboot was the worst thing ever. They could never do these jokes. So basically, the essential theme of the plan is we're going to dress up as the Vice King, and then we're going to go out into the city, and we're just going to do a whole bunch of murdering and destruction. In fact, that's the very thing that they said we weren't going to do, but don't worry, that's always what we're going to do because it's Saints Row. In order to be able to start this mission, we have to get the news to know what we're doing, so you just got to go out and just kind of create damage, kill some civilians, kill a cop or two here or there, whatever you want. And when the news van arrives, we're simply gonna steal it. Then we're gonna drive across town, we're gonna kill some shopkeepers because we're not murdering anybody. Whole sledgehammer and glass thing, remember, they just talked about it. Then we're gonna go do some bowling by using our car to destroy some who has bowling pin modern art in the middle of downtown? I can never decide if the developers did this just simply for the meme of the bowling pins or if like this has got some tie to the lore. I don't know. And then finally, we're going to go destroy a statue of the mayor by using a bulldozer. Excavator? I think it's an excavator. I don't know what it's called, but it's pretty fun. Overall, though, this mission's actually quite good. It's just one of those simple, chaotic missions that just feels fun to do, and you're never really stressed out the whole time. I find that modern-day games now are all about realism and keeping it grounded, and everything has to have a moral to the story, and this is just simply creating chaos for chaos' sake, and I appreciate that about Saints Row.
Don't worry about it. Look, if it was one of mine, I'll take care of it. But I'm telling you, I don't care what colors they was wearing. It was that crew from Saints Row I was telling you about. No, I'm not making any excuse. I will. Tell your wife I said hello. Goodbye, Alderman.
Great. Now we got your crack-ass friends tripping. Like I said, fucking with City Hall is a waste of time.
Wrong. Working with them is what gives us power.
Yo, fuck that. This is what gives us power.
Now get the fuck out of my office.
Okay, I have to be 100% honest with you guys. Even though Anthony's dead, there's still a lot more work to do. And I also have to tell you guys that this next sort of mission structure is something that Saints Row loves to do, and it either works out great or it works out terribly. And this next mission is going to be a time where it works out great. And later, I'll be able to show you a time where it works out terribly. More on that in a minute.
Okay, it looks like the cops been getting in on some of King's protection rackets. Now that's why they've been going so easy on the VKs. We gotta go public with this shit. Now if we...
Don't worry, Dex. I have something more subtle in mind.
Johnny, you can't be serious.
Fuck yeah, I am.
Where did you get those?
Anthony's condo. He had a big mouth.
This isn't gonna end well.
Don't listen to the old woman. I'll drive to where the cops are picking up protection money. You make them cease and desist with one of Tony's noisemakers. If we make sure the only cops we hit are the ones working for King, people gonna start asking questions, and the cops are gonna have no choice but to come down on the VKs to save face. Let's do this.
Okay, before we get into the mechanics of the actual mission, let's talk about what's going on. So, the police are getting protection money from the Vice Kings. So basically, the Vice Kings pay them to turn a blind eye. Normal gangster mob stuff here. Our job is to sit in the passenger seat while Gat drives around, and then we blow up the meetings. This is where the game mechanics get a little bit hinky-dinky. We talked about a little bit about it when we talked about the drug trafficking activity, but now we get to elaborate on it a little bit more. I have no issues if a video game wants you to use the AI to its fullest potential, if it wants you to use somebody who you are not controlling, if it's done well. The problem is in Saints Row, it is done the opposite of well. Like, if they had two choices and one was good and one was bad, they chose to go the bad way. The AI is on a set path. Gat has to follow a certain route and a certain way to get around the map. The problem is the rest of the world is not on that set path. In this specific case, though, it's going to work out just fine for us. Though you will see throughout our play that he does crash into random walls and drive straight into random bricks and stuff like that. And yes, it is annoying, but in this case, it didn't cause us to fail. Later, we'll be doing a mission where we're going against the cartel guys, and it's going to be so bad. The issue is that when you're doing this, you, the player, are not in control of literally anything. I can't control the speed, I can't avoid the obstacles, and for that matter, I can't do anything other than sit here and shoot at the targets involved. In this case, the Vice Kings and the police. Here's the problem. Because of the current era and time in which we're playing this game, enemies will render in as you drive towards them. Meaning, you can look one direction, there won't be an enemy there, and then turn around and the enemy literally materializes in front of you. This is a huge problem when you, the player, is not in control. Because Gat will just drive straight at them. Gat won't speed up. Gat won't turn left or right. Gat won't even try to avoid them. Here's the other issue. Gat goes a set speed, which means he will constantly go the exact same speed he's going already, and the enemy, they can do whatever they want. They can turn left, they can turn right, they can go faster or slower. So here's what ends up happening. A lot of the times, the enemy will materialize before you and then be stuck on you right beside you. Here's the problem. If you're using an RPG, obviously you're going to take damage. That's fine. But if I'm using a machine gun, and that car blows up, well, guess what? My car takes damage. Here's the other issue with these kinds of missions. I don't know the path that Gat's gonna take, meaning that when he turns left or right, I can't pre-aim or set myself up to be able to successfully take out the enemy. The enemy cannot have this issue. So you will constantly be taking damage while the enemy is shooting you. And you will have to constantly be making adjustments for something that you can't control. This leads to a lot of frustrations. Now, this mission specifically, it works out just fine. We managed to get through it in one shot. Later on, I'll have a great example of when it doesn't work out perfectly. So with all the locations of the meetings destroyed and now the public firmly aware that the police are working with the Vice Kings, we're able to start taking down the upper echelon of the Vice Kings. Just remember this mission later, please. Please do, because you have to forgive me later on. You have to, and it's because of this mission. You have to.
I think the Kings are through with the policeman's balls. Now all we got left to do is give Warren a nice final fuck you, and I'd say this has been a hell of a day.
Hello? Hey, it's good to hear from... What? Wait, slow down. What are you saying? Look, our arrangement has been beneficial for both parties. Look, why don't we talk about this tonight over dinner? I'm sure we can work this out, okay? All right. See you tonight. Goodbye.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Who said you could come in here?
We need to talk.
Do we now?
You've been putting yourself before the crew.
Keep talking, little nigga.
If you hadn't wasted our time sticking your nose up them white boys' asses, we could have owned the whole damn game by now.
I told you before, we ain't getting into that shit.
And why the fuck not? That's where the money is. Man, if you got down with that shit back in the day, the Carnales would have been ghosts right now. But you didn't, did you? You were too much of a pussy then, and you're too much of a pussy now. Fuck!
You forgot who you talking to. My name is Benjamin motherfucking King. I'm the man who took my crew from being a bunch of baby gangsters in Sunnyvale to being one of the most influential and feared forces in the goddamn city. You know how I did that? I said, you know how I did that?
Mr. King?
I did it by knowing when it was time to build, when it was time to watch, and when it was time to act. I'm through carrying your punk ass. If I were you, I'd drop them damn flags and get the fuck out of here before I erase your ass.
I ain't going nowhere.
You ain't hearing me, son. I said...
Yo, fuck that. You ain't hearing me.
What is this?
I built, I watched, and now I'm acting.
Well, the king has been dethroned by the little... I can't say that word. I'm as white as it comes. But you guys get the point. Basically, what's ended up happening is Benjamin King has been knocked off of his throne, and his lieutenant has taken over with Tanya, the whore. I mean, Lady of the Night. Though we are going to get an interesting development when it comes to the 3rd Street Saints, Julius, and Benjamin King. Turns out there's a little bit of history there on both Benjamin's side as well as Julius's.
Where's Gat? Fuck! Listen carefully, player. Benjamin King just called. It seems like one of his boys got a big head and tried to take him out. He's pinned down in the park right now and needs some help. Now, what happens to King may not mean shit to you, but him and me, we got history. I owe King from way back in the day, and he ain't gonna eat it if I can help it. You're gonna go out there and save his ass. Understand? I ain't fucking around, player. You bring King back here safe, you feel me?
Yeah, that's right. These two came up together, which is to be expected. I kind of knew the storyline was going to come even back in 2006. So how's this mission evolved? We drive to the park and then we literally just fight an insane amount of Vice Kings with Mr. King. Now's the perfect opportunity for me to talk about the AI of your companions. More specifically, named companions. Throughout my time playing Saints Row, I never have an issue with the random NPC companions you can pick up in your gang to help you out in random missions. They always seem to do exactly what I need them to do when I need them to do it. When I decide to work with NPCs like Gat or Julius or Benjamin King, it's like they're mentally stunted. We fight our way up to Mr. King here, and then as we're trying to escape to get to his car, which is our next objective after the park, he will randomly decide that he needs to fight the random Vice King across the entire park. Now, rather than taking shots at the Vice King across the way, no. He'll stand there and wait for that Vice King to run all the way to him, to which he'll then miss every shot he needs to take, causing us to have to run back and help him out and then restart the process over and over again. If I was to redo this mission again, I would take out every single Vice King I possibly could on the one side that we enter in order to hopefully prevent this. This is the same for every named NPC that you'll work with throughout the entire game. They just kind of get hooked and fixated on certain things that they have to do, and it's for sure an issue of the coding of the time. Their code says that they have to do X, Y, or Z, and their character can't do anything until they complete X, Y, or Z, or the parameters are met. You are the character that has to figure out what X, Y, and Z is, so essentially in this case, you have to kill everything in front of you. To speed things up, I'm simply just going to fast forward through all this until we have to get into the car. Now that we're in the car, our next objective is to kill the new lieutenants. After Little Word I Can't Say took over the gang, he appointed new leadership underneath of him, and those are now coming after Mr. Benjamin King. Taking him out is no different than every other time we've had to fight people inside of a car. You just drive up to them and shoot them in their windows, and then they die. So we're just going to skip ahead to where the Word I Can't Say little guy shows up, and then we got to chase him down. I have no issues in Saints Row's chase missions where the enemy in which we're chasing's vehicle can be damaged. This is one of those missions where the car in which we're chasing, we can damage it. We can shoot out the tires, we can blow it up, we can do whatever we want. This mission will last as long or as little as it needs to based off your own personal skill level and how much damage you're able to deal. And if I'm honest with you, you're going to be the one that has to do most of the damage, as the NPCs can barely hit the broadside of a barn on a good day. There is some missions, and we'll get to them later, where the car that is chasing and or we are chasing cannot be damaged whatsoever no matter what weapon you use. I don't like those missions. For a game that's based around like some sort of realism, for the universe in which it's set in, there's a certain amount of realism or expectation of reality that we, the player, are supposed to accept. We understand that this is a little bit comical and it's going to be a little bit over the top, but as long as the stuff that is happening on our screen fits within the universe of the game itself, then we can believe it. In movies, this is called suspension of disbelief, where even though your brain knows that it's not real, you suspend your belief of it in order to allow the movie to play out the way it needs to and let what's happening on screen play out and fill that void in your brain. So when we're chasing around the little word I can't say, it allows our brain to go, okay, we're damaging his car and we're making progress. So as long as we, the player, can visually see that we're damaging Warren's car, we don't mind the chase, we don't mind crashing, we don't mind all the combat. It's when we see the damage and then the thing doesn't die, which we'll see later on when we're chased by Price, as well as the Carnali's leader. More on that later. We're going to finish off Mr. Warren here. I'm done with the little joke that we were saying, and then we're going to be able to move on. This will effectively put Tanya as the new leader of the Vice Kings. Just so we're all tracking, Meg Griffin now runs a gang inside of Stillwater.
Hey, baby.
The fuck you standing around for? Give me a fucking hand! Little nigga, huh? I so care who little nigga is. His motherfucking ass is mine. Hey, yo, Tanya! What's going on?
You're a bright boy. I'm sure you can figure it out.
Bitch, you better not miss, cause if...
Thanks for the advice.
Looking good, Ben.
Been a long time, Jules.
Sorry about Anthony.
That was business. Let it go.
So what's the plan?
We kill Tanya, and I get back to business.
I don't think so, Benjamin.
What?
I said no. You alive, we straight. But the Vice Kings, they're through.
Then kill me. Quit wasting my goddamn time.
Well, you got a choice. You can keep your fucking pride and die right now. Or you can be a man and walk away.
When did you get the balls, Jules?
What's it gonna be?
I ain't walking away.
Fair enough. Johnny?
I ain't walking away until I deal with Tanya.
My nigga. Johnny, put the damn gun down. Now, you understand, this ain't just about Tanya, right? We finishing the whole crew.
Yeah, I know.
So let's get to it. Plan?
I know where all them fools hang. All we gotta do is roll up there, get their attention, then lead them to the cops. They'll take care of the rest.
All right, player. You gonna be Mr. King's wheel man.
You ready for this, son? Let's go.
Good to have you back, Benjamin.
Okay, here's the structure. We have to drive to meetings with the Vice Kings, trigger them to chase us, and we drive them to the police, which are now in the Saints Row's pocket, and then the police will, for some reason, instead of arresting them, kill them very, very violently. But here's the fun part. Remember the thing we just talked about, that suspension of disbelief, where as long as our brain can register progression within the universe of the game itself, then we are okay with what's happening on screen? Well, here's the exact opposite of that. Driving to the location, we will trigger the Vice Kings to chase us, and then the Vice Kings will chase us, and we can do no damage to them. We can't blow up their cars, we can't kill the drivers, we can do absolutely nothing. The only thing we can do is have them chase us through the city of Stillwater. Well, simultaneously, they can ram us off the road and shoot us and pop our tires and blow our car up, as well as kill us. In fact, you're going to see us die. This is one of those times where you're going to get frustrated because what your brain is registering in the game isn't what you think should be happening within the universe itself. It doesn't add up. Last mission, we literally killed one of the bosses of the game by chasing him down and shooting his car. In this mission, we can throw grenades, RPGs, we could drop a tactical nuke on just random NPCs, and they're somehow able to walk it off, while simultaneously doing a whole bunch of damage to us. What this effectively does is it takes the control out of your hands, and it doesn't feel good. Essentially, what's ended up happening is you have to rely on the NPC beside you, Mr. Benjamin King, to shoot the enemies and keep them off of you while you don't die. And while yes, you could technically shoot back, there's absolutely zero reason for you, the player, to actually engage in combat. Nothing you do will change the outcome of anything that's happening. You just simply have to drive. So if we just accept the fact that we have to drive, we still have to rely heavily on the fact that the NPCs of the Vice Kings are able to follow us, which we will see that sometimes they get stuck and we have to drive backwards and go get them because they'll just stop in the middle of the road. But doing so involves us getting shot at a bunch by them. Even back in 2006, this was a massive problem. Missions like this sound good on paper, but they don't feel good while playing. It doesn't feel good to just essentially let the game play itself and all you're there to do is watch. And essentially that's what we're doing. We're just simply driving from location to location to then lure them back to another location. And we can do nothing to change the outcome of any of it. There's a million ways that they could have made this better, but the fact of the matter is it's been 20 years and this is just the way it is. So let's just skip on past it and move on into the next mission because you guys have already seen everything this mission has to offer and we've already discussed it.
I've been chatting with King, and it looks like Tanya's takeover didn't sit well with everybody. The Vice Kings are fighting amongst themselves. Now's the time to take them out for good. King said he was gonna come along. I hope he hasn't gone soft.
And don't ever worry about me, baby boy, because I'm gonna handle mine.
All I'm saying is that since you got here, you've been nothing but talk.
I've smoked dozens of fools before. I ain't adding to the count unless I have to.
Oh, that's just fucking great.
I said don't worry about it.
I don't want you bitching out when you see your crew.
Ain't my crew, son. That's why I'm here, remember? So how about you put your dick away, pick up your gun, and try to keep your knee away from the bullets.
Oh, you heard the cocky son of a bitch. Let's roll.
What's the best way to get to a rich salutes information? I'm going to tell you how. You have to go get their personal shopper. Believe it or not, rich people have people that they pay to hang out with them while they shop. And Stefan's one of them. Not only that, he also gets to sell the merchandise and collect the sweet, sweet money from Tanya. So we're going to drive across Stillwater until we get to the shop, and then we're going to grab Stefan, and Mr. Benjamin King is going to hang him out of the window. And our task is to drive as fast as possible without killing him. I like this mission. This is fun. This is exciting, and our suspension of belief is back. These are the kind of missions that make Saints Row stand out from other games, because it's serious enough that it feels real and tangible, but it's fun enough and goofy enough that you're just having fun. Your brain gets to turn off for a minute. And what's nice about Saints Row is that most of the time, that's the way you get to function. You just get to enjoy what's happening around you. You get to enjoy the events. You get to enjoy the over-the-top characters. So yes, while there's missions like the previous one where you just kind of feel like you're just going through the motions to fill up the time, there's immediately other missions where you're entertained. As long as I am entertained, I don't really care what's going on. As long as I'm having fun, that's all that matters. Where in the last mission, I personally wasn't having fun. This mission, I think this is absolutely phenomenal. This is funny as hell. Eventually, after we scare Stefan enough, he's going to tell us that Tanya's where exactly everybody knew she was going to be, the penthouse. Where would a high-class sleuth go who just happened to take over a criminal enterprise? Obviously to the penthouse of the criminal enterprise. Why this was even a problem or even a thing that we had to think about, I have no idea. But because of it, we got to hang Stefan out of the window. So we're going to drive over to the penthouse. Once at the penthouse, we're going to have to fight our way through the lobby. Now, I wish I could say there's something unique and special about this moment, but there really isn't. It's the same lipstick, just on a different pig. The NPCs fight the same as they always have, and they don't do any more damage or any less than they always did. But what I do find funny is we're going to fight our way to an elevator, where we're going to get a pretty funny moment. I thought it was funny. I don't know. Maybe my humor's broken.
Where now?
The penthouse.
I'm gonna skull fuck that bitch.
Hope you don't mind hepatitis.
What?
I like how our character only talks at like random moments. I actually wish that they had never let our character talk throughout the entire franchise and instead always allowed him just to be this guy that just drops these one-liners randomly. Because throughout Saints Row 1, these are some of my favorite moments when he just says something and the other character's like, what the hell just happened? It added more personality to our character than any other game has ever done with having a protagonist that doesn't talk. And I think it was perfect. It was just like the little cherry on top of the cake, you know what I mean? Now, we're going to continue to fight our way through the lobby of the penthouse until we eventually get to the penthouse. I'm not going to waste your time here. Let's just get to the good part. We're going to kill Tanya, stupid sloot.
Some guys just never get enough of me.
I've had more than my fill, bitch.
It's over, girl. You're not gonna be able to fuck your way out of this one.
That's cute, sweetie. That's just precious. Please! Please don't!
Oh, Tanya. Do yourself a favor and die with some dignity.
That sucks for your car. We better get out of here. The cops will be here soon. You coming, King?
All right, let's go.
Hey, I know what you told Julius and all, but why don't you stick around and roll with us? I'm sure he wouldn't mind having you around.
Don't bet on that.
You think you could find a way back to the row on your own? Aisha, you know. The pussy calls.
You did good in there, son. Here. I don't think I'll be needing these anymore.
And just like that, the Vice Kings have been removed from Stillwater. Minus the districts that they're attacking, they still exist there because those people didn't get the memo. So we're gonna go after the Lost Carnales now. Cannolis, whatever their names are. But I do want to note something. At no point will any of the gangs reference the fact that the other gang has been taken out. I think that's a massive missed opportunity. Would have done so much world building, but hey, at the end of the day, at least little... With the Vice Kings out of the way, we're going to head after the Lost Carnales. Now, originally at the start of the game, this is supposed to be the gang that you go after. I always choose to go after the Vice Kings just because personally I enjoy them a lot more. But the Lost Carnales are the largest and most powerful gang in the entire city. While the other gangs are focused on image, territory, and making a name for themselves, Lost Carnales are all about one thing: money. Their empire is built on drug trafficking with a network that stretches across Stillwater and brings in more cash than the Saints could ever hope to compete with. The gang is led by brothers Angelo and Hector Lopez. Angelo is the face of the organization and the man giving the orders, while Hector is the one keeping the business running behind the scenes, overseeing the money, the drugs, and the logistics that keep the entire operation alive. Backing them up is Victor Rodriguez, the gang's enforcer, who isn't afraid to use violence to protect the family's interests. Together, they have built a criminal empire that is allowed to grow almost unchecked, making Lost Carnales one of the biggest obstacles standing in the Saints' way. Over the next few missions, we'll see exactly how the Saints begin chipping away at the empire, disrupting the operations and weakening their leadership, and proving even the most powerful gangs in Stillwater aren't untouchable. I also have to say that this is probably the most unfair gang to go against, but also the most fun gang to go against. You'll understand as we go through this.
Oh, hey man, didn't hear you come in. Check this out. The Carnales were the first organized gang in the city. The way Julius tells it, they owned the whole damn town until Benjamin King stepped up against them. Tell you what though, I ain't worried about their history so much as I am the fact that A, the Lopez brothers are crazy motherfuckers, and B, Victor, their enforcer, survived a dozen VK drive-bys. Sounds pretty bad, right? Now add in that the Carnales are backed by the largest drug cartel in the world, and I think you'll understand why we're gonna play this safe instead of pulling a Johnny. We cut off their income first, then we go for Hector. Sound good? That was a rhetorical question, but thanks for your support.
So we're tasked with taking out 2 different drug labs and taking over those territories. I've already stated it once in this video and twice in this video and 3 times in this video, but I'm going to say it one more time. I really wish that when you took over a drug lab, you had the ability to upgrade it to make more profit. One issue that I'm going to have to say that is a big problem when it comes to Saints Row 1 is even though you are a gang leader and you do take over territories and those territories make you money, you always feel like you're struggling to, well, make money. The sad truth is that most things inside of Saints Row 1 cost you an absolutely asinine amount of cash. Just simply upgrading your guns with ammo and having ammo to be able to, play the game costs you thousands of dollars. And this problem doesn't really go away as you play through the game. In fact, I can vividly remember me and my friends leaving Saints Row on when we would go to school, so when we came home, there would be the cash flow that we needed throughout the day in order to be able to have some fun at night. This is where Saints Row 1 kind of suffered a bit compared to GTA. In Grand Theft Auto, you always feel like you have enough money to do what you need to do. In Saints Row 1, if you're not doing some cheese mechanics like we did in school by leaving the game on, you often feel like you don't have enough money to do anything. That's why throughout our playthrough, you'll see me using the pistol and the SMG the most, because I simply am just too poor to afford the rest. It's also the same reason why you only see me customize exactly 1 car in this entire game, and it will be during this gang operation. Once we take over the drug labs, that's pretty much it. The mission ends and we can move on to the next. We should probably note here and now, though, that every time we start a new gang mission or a new gang takeover, it always starts off super easy and then ramps up as we go through the storyline. So every single time we start a new gang, you kind of feel like you are restarting the whole game. There is some argument to doing each individual gang a little bit at a time so you can avoid this too easy for you kind of gameplay. I choose to do it like this as we have to build our relationship with the gang, so you could look at it either way, really. Let's move on to the next mission.
What if we came from here and here?
No, they'd just see it coming. Cops try that shit all the time and it never works.
Shit, you're right. Well, what should we do then?
Well, we could... Hey, you might want to hear this.
Aight. I got a lead on where the Los Canales cut all their shit.
The Carnales.
What?
Rio Grande River. Jesus.
What the fuck?
It's not the Los Carnales, it's just the Carnales. Los means... Fuck it. Like I was saying, we're not gonna raid the factory quite yet.
Why not?
'Cause I'm not a gun-toting psychopath named Johnny Gat.
Fair enough, so what's the plan?
One of my boys called and said they saw a truck with a heavy LC escort leaving the factory district. It's probably loaded with drugs, but that's just a bonus. Our target is the truck itself. I need it brought back to the row in one piece. It's no good to us blown to shit.
What do you need the truck for?
Let's just get the truck first, and then I'll tell you the rest of the plan.
I'm just saying it would be nice to know.
Shit, Troy, what's with all the questions? Why can't you be like my man over here?
Look, Dex.
Could you go get that truck? See? Was that so hard?
Here's a perfect opportunity for us to talk about how absolutely insane the difficulty spikes are when it comes to Saints Row 1. Our first mission had us destroying 2 drug labs, and it was like walking through a park. Easy breezy, cover girl, gang member. Our very next mission has us taking over a truck. This sounds so incredibly easy. Drive to the location and take the truck, except for the fact that it's not. A common problem when it comes to Saints Row is the fact that the AI is just unfair. We've talked about it many times, but this is a perfect example of how it works. Immediately off the bat, though, I'm just gonna tell you right now, this is not a skill issue. I don't control AI spawn. I don't control how they magnetize to your vehicle, and I don't control how they fade in and out of existence willy-nilly depending on the day. I also don't control the path that they take. So what ends up happening is sometimes you'll be playing a mission like this one, where on the surface it seems extremely easy, but in reality it's probably going to be extremely frustrating. While we drive towards the truck, what's going to end up happening, and I really need you to focus on this because this is going to be a long talking segment, okay? I want you to watch the mini-map as well as on screen. You will see that sometimes the enemy just renders into existence within feet of you, and sometimes the enemy will just fade away when they're behind you and pop up in front of you. The best way to explain this is like fighting a ghost, if you will. You can punch it, but you're going to go through it. You can see it, but it can just teleport away. That's how it feels to do half the missions in Saints Row 1 is it just feels like you're fighting ghosts. Now, I will say back in 2006 when games were made, they were made a little bit differently, and we should probably talk about that. Games were made for replayability, and many games and many game missions were made as if you were paying an arcade machine. I don't know if many of you who are watching this video have ever been to an arcade, but an arcade is basically it's gambling for kids. Every single game that you see inside of an arcade is made to make you spend as much money as possible. And in return, you get tickets which give you some crappy item that you don't actually need. The way that games companies do this when you go to an arcade is that they would make it so the game difficulty is extremely high. It starts you off easy and you can do it relatively good, so you think that you're better than you are, and then the next mission it'll immediately ramp it up because they just want you to put in more coins. Early video game design for consoles were the exact same. If you go play Nintendo games from the 90s or even Atari games and stuff like that, you'll notice that they all have that same coin feeling. But instead of adding a coin, you just restart the entire level. And to make you have to restart the level to pad out video game time, they would make it incredibly hard. If you've ever played the original Lion King game, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. In early 2000s games, they realized that people don't really like to have that mission structure of just getting absolutely crapped on just so then for the sake of being crapped on. A great example of a mission that's absolutely insanely hard and has a time limit for absolutely no reason is the final mission in Grand Theft Auto 3. That mission is absolutely ridiculous. The game literally takes away all of your guns, all of your ammo, all of your armor, and then tells you to hunt down a person that has an army in front of you, the ability to have a helicopter, as well as the ability to aimbot you. And then the game goes, you know what you also need? A time limit in the top. So if you don't do it in a certain amount of time, you're screwed. This is arguably the hardest mission in the entire Grand Theft Auto franchise, and it was made in Grand Theft Auto 3, the first 3D game. And it was deliberately designed that way to be incredibly hard, so you had to keep replaying the game to learn the mechanics. Can it be done? Yes. Is it extremely frustrating? Yes. Is there tons and tons of forums talking about it? Yes. But it's done intentionally. The same thing can be said about this mission. The AI randomly smashing into your car and sending you flying across the map is deliberately designed that way. The AI popping in and out of existence is, you can say it's an arguably because of the time in which the game was made, but it's also done deliberately to enhance the experience. Technology didn't allow them to have hundreds of enemies on the screen, so instead they just kind of popped in and out of existence and moved around like ghosts. And while every mission inside of Saints Row can be completed, obviously we're doing the deep dive, some missions feel more unfair than others. What's funny about this is immediately in Saints Row 2, it's a fixed solution, and the game seems a little bit better. Now, I referenced going back to the early 2000s. Another thing that we're not factoring in here is the fact that a lot of games were played on a CRTV. Much smaller screen, much smaller resolution, as well as the fact that the game had way less graphics. And a lot of what we're seeing here, a lot of the frustration that we're seeing here was hidden by fog. If you ever played the original Grand Theft Auto games, Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, or San Andreas, there was a fog on the map. This allowed the video game developers to render in objects in front of you and render out objects behind you. Because we're playing this game 20 years later, we can obviously set the settings to a much higher standard, meaning our fog and stuff is not as hiding of these things. So yes, while we're frustrated by these mechanics, we can also acknowledge that this has been 20 years, and back when we played this game originally, none of this mattered. Now, I showed you the failure that we had, so I'm just going to skip to the part where we take the truck. By take the truck, I mean follow the truck to the location that we're dropping it off at. I know it seems like we're harping on this right now, but I have to drill it into your guys' head because of the fact that this is like the #1 problem when playing this older game. But it's also part of the charm, and we should also acknowledge that. Part of the charm of Saints Row is that chaoticness, and if you accept the fact that it's just part of the Saints Row game, you can easily still find it fun. So yes, from a gameplay perspective, when you're standing out there looking at it, it is extremely frustrating. But if you look at it within the universe of Saints Row, it all fits. The AI, the combat, the weird quirkiness, it all fits, and you can write it off and make yourself kind of suspend your belief and have a lot more fun. But I will never forgive Saints Row for giving you so many missions where you have to let an NPC do all of the actual work while you have to try to protect them. You guys have seen it. Half the time our NPC driver is just driving it into walls or up into a car and just stopping randomly. Those things aren't fun no matter how you look at it, and it doesn't fit the universe. It doesn't even fit the mission. You should be driving as fast as you can to the location you're going at, and this guy's going on a leisurely Sunday drive, if you will. But even though we are having issues with our own NPCs, we can also acknowledge that we are having a ton of fun. Even when you lose in Saints Row, even when the game feels like it is absolutely rigging the game against you, you feel like you're having fun. Though admittedly, later on in this game, we will have a mission where there is no fun to be had. But we should definitely finally just sit back and realize 20 years is a long time, and game developers had to do a lot of hinky stuff in order to make the game work. But in its own way, Saints Row, even with all the hink and all the dink, is still very, very charming. We will eventually, through a lot of struggling, get the truck to the destination and deliver it, which will give us yet another cutscene. There's a lot of cutscenes when it comes to the Lost Carnolis, because this was supposed to be the first gang we went after. This is where all the story building is going to be. It's also why it's the most impactful and the most fun. We were supposed to start here. All right, we have to call something out here, and I've noticed this trend not only in TV shows, not only in movies, but also in video games. But when you have the subtitles on, having the subtitles say Spanish does absolutely zero for my understanding of what they are saying. If I put on subtitles, you should translate the subtitles to the language in which the subtitles are, because I would love to know what they were saying and not just to infer what they are saying. I've been watching a lot of Elementary lately, the show with Lucy Liu, and they're like Sherlock Holmes and Watson in New York City, and a lot of times when they talk to somebody in another language, the subtitles just say the language in which they're speaking. This is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Have the translation on screen so me, the English-speaking viewer, can see it. This goes for anybody who is any sort of culture and any sort of language barrier. If they are watching something and there needs to be subtitles for the language in which the people are speaking, have that language be translated into the subtitles in which we are reading. That way I know what's being said. Moving on. By the way, the bald guy is the cartel leader. He's technically the real boss of the Lost Carnalis. Get it right, shorty. But he's also the main reason why the gang falls apart, because he's using his power as a dirty, bald, slime fat man to bang one of the other leaders' wives, knowing full well that the power that he holds will make it so he can do whatever he wants. And this actually is a major driving factor to the reason why the Lost Carnalis fall apart. Because if we look at the fat slime ball as a wedge, he is literally driving that wedge between the gang, all in the interest of his wiener. This problem will literally continue throughout the entire gang's story, with the wife literally being the cause of the gang's demise and the death of each individual gang member. So even though it seems like an insignificant detail, it's actually a huge detail for the overall story.
Thanks, I'll swing by to pick that up. Just the guy I was looking for. Samson's got the truck all patched up. I'm gonna go.
We got a problem, Dex.
What's going on?
The Los Carnales are attacking.
It's not the Los Carnales. Jesus, what's wrong with you?
Dex, they attacking the road.
What happened?
Angelo and his boys came out of nowhere. They fucked us up pretty hard, but it finally looked like we had Angelo pinned down.
Hola, mi amigo.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Gracias, Víctor. De nada. Let's get back to Hector. Sí, pero primero vamos a golpear a Freckle Bitches.
Cool. I'm buying.
So they left.
Angelo and Victor did, but there was a lot of LC still out there.
All right, let's split up. The road's a big place. We gotta make sure we smoke all those motherfuckers.
First things first, I'm the realist. No, but actually, the guy literally hid, so he should have been shot immediately for being such a coward. He sees all his brothers, all his gang members. You remember, they're supposed to be like this family. They're supposed to have each other's backs. And he literally hid around the corner and watched all of them die. Second thing, why are they literally walking up to within like 2 inches of them to shoot them, but not shooting them beforehand? Like the guy who came from behind the car. Why get so close? You could have shot him from the other side. It's a convertible. You could have shot him from literally anywhere. And finally, the third thing. It's actually a different kind of topic we're going to talk about. I really do appreciate the Los Carnales and how they're willing to actually go after the Saints. The other two gangs never really go after the Saints. Sure, they attack districts, but that's just a gameplay mechanic to keep you going back to those districts made by the developers. The Los Canales as a gang actually go and attack the Saints constantly. And that's what I really do actually appreciate about them, is you feel like they're one gang that is going against another gang. You constantly feel like you're fighting against them. The whole storyline feels like a push and a pull. With the Vice Kings, they hid. They were constantly hiding behind the politics of it all and trying trying to save their image, and you always felt like you were bringing the fight to them. They never really pushed back on you too much. And with the high rollers, well, it's literally you doing everything against them. And they also never really push back that much. The Los Carnales, on the other hand, man, they bring it right to your door. They're right at your front step. In fact, most of the missions are going to take place inside of the Saints Row's territory. This is what makes them the best gang to go against and why they're probably the game that the developers tried to get you to fight immediately. This should have been the same for all the gangs. This should have been a push-pull, and it's not. So we take out all of the LC in our area and we get to continue on. But this time, now the Saints are pissed off.
Dex is bringing the truck around. You know why he wanted that thing?
Shit, Troy. If you wanted to know, all you had to do was ask.
I did.
Well, I guess you did. Ain't that a bitch? Now that we have things in the row under control, we can get back to the plan. I had that truck you jacked fixed up good as new. Loaded up with a crew and drive right into the Carnalis production plant. When you get inside, hop out and take the place over.
It's not exactly the most original plan.
There's something to be said about the classics. Remember what I said. Take the place over, don't blow it to hell. The more shit you blow up, the more shit we have to replace once we're running it.
The mission's literally called the Trojan Horse, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're putting the Saints inside of the truck that's owned by the Los Carnales, and we're driving the truck to the Los Carnales base to then kill them with the people that are inside the truck. I'm not going to waste your time driving there because, well, it's just across the entire map. A common time padding thing that happened back in the 2000s. It still happens today, but not as bad. But a lot of times in early 2000s, the way that game developers padded out game time was making you drive from one end of the map to the other. If you need a great example of this, go play Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. That game will have you go across the entire map for a 1 second conversation to go across the entire map for a 1 second conversation to make you go across the entire map for a 1 second conversation. Or you could just watch my deep dive to prove it. Arriving at the factory, we're then going to storm the gates.
Surprise, motherfucker! Hello, bitches!
Third Street!
This is a perfect example of how the game makes you do a push and pull with the Los Carnales. And this is exactly what we were missing when we did the Vice Kings missions, which you guys have already seen. When I think about gangs, I think about the push, I think about the pull, I think about fighting for territory, and I think about how each gang is fighting for power. When I versed the Vice Kings and we went through that entire storyline, at no point was I ever like, oh my god, this is a power struggle. It always felt like the Saints had the upper hand. This was even amplified by Mr. Benjamin King joining the Saints to help them out for the last few missions. With the Los Carnales, they came after us and now we're going after them. They took out a bunch of us and now we're going to take out a bunch of them. What I also like about the Los Carnales missions is a lot of the times the places in which you're fighting feel like genuine locations in which a gang would hold down and hunker down. When we versed the Vice Kings, it all took place outside of a record studio, but we never really did anything inside of the record studio other than kill Tanya. But that's where it changes when we verse the Los Carnales. The first mission has us taking out 2 of their drug factories, which immediately has them retaliate against us, and then we retaliated against them, and then they retaliated against us, and here we are taking over yet another one of their factories. This factory is where they make their weapons, so we took out their drug factories, now we're taking out their weapons factory. And we're doing this not by ourselves, where a lot of the missions inside of the Vice Kings was just us, our character, running around doing it by themselves. In this, we have our entire gang with us, and once again, it gives you that feeling of being part of an actual gang. This is actually something that is missing from Saints Row 2. I'm playing through that as I'm making this video. And a lot of the missions in Saints Row 2 is just your character doing everything while nobody helps you. There's something fun about running around with your crew of purple just hammering down the Los Carnales. It makes you feel like you're part of something, and it adds to the immersion of you being part of a gang. This was literally top gaming in 2007, and you'd be hard-pressed not to say it's peak now.
Manuel, you worry too much. Everything is under control.
I've heard some nasty rumors, Hector.
Like what?
That one of your drug labs was shut down.
¿Qué eso? No, eso no es un problema. One of our careers thought he could cut the shit out of his deliveries. It looked like we were missing a lot of product. It really was just this pendejo. Hey, Angelo took care of him.
And the drugs?
Found.
What about this gang from Saints Row?
A bunch of mulas, a nuisance, nothing more.
Your father would have killed them all by now.
I am not my father.
I've noticed.
Hey, don't you walk away from me, puta!
Ay, Angelo, ¿qué te pasa? Es tan grande que pueda ser mi padre, mijo.
Mira, mujer, you listen to me.
Enough! You
No estoy intentando trabajar aquí. O se comportan o salgan de mi casa ya.
You're right. Looks like everything is under control, Hector. We'll talk about this more when the others arrive.
You know what I'm cutting out a lot of this video? It's being spawned after a mission in a random location where there's no cars that have spawned, and I have to run a very long way. Now, once again, I have to harp on it. If you're gonna have other languages inside of the game, can you give us subtitles so we know what they're saying? Like, I have to just assume then what they're saying. So my assumption is, she was like, he's got a bigger dick than you. And he was like, no, he doesn't. He's a fat, bald man. And she was all like, I don't care. His gut makes me feel warm and safe. I have no idea what they were actually saying. That's just what I'm inferring. But as I said, you can start to see that wedge really drive home between the gang. It's falling apart. And the cartel, the bald guy, is absolutely not having it. So we are going to be tasked with, well, destroying their meeting with a sniper. And it is hard not to draw the conclusion to the previous two GTA games, Vice City and Grand Theft Auto 3, which both had this exact same mission. I'm talking like the exact same mission. Climb to the top of the warehouse, shoot them on the boat. Like, you can't even not draw the conclusion. Like, it is that blatant. I understand the Saints Row and Grand Theft Auto exist within their own universe, but this mission is literally almost verbatim, almost plot for plot of the exact same mission from those two games. Doesn't make it any less fun. I think it's absolutely a blast. And unlike in the Grand Theft Auto franchise, there's no arbitrary time limit on it. I can actually line up my shots and have some fun. But we'll get to that when we get to that, okay? I just wanted to show you guys me just running around doing nothing and struggling to start the mission.
This is the McManus. As you see, it's fully collapsible and comes in a stately black attaché. The 18-inch cryogenically treated stainless steel bull barrel gives this rifle a guaranteed accuracy of .2 minute of angle at 600 yards with match-grade ammunition. With its hand-reamed chamber and match-grade trigger, the McManus is designed for the marksman who wants to reach out and touch someone at a moment's notice.
I'll take it.
Lovely. Would you like it gift-wrapped?
No, that's okay.
Great. Let me run this.
Tight job on that lab, dog. We found a memo saying that Hector's meeting with the Colombians tonight. With the amount of firepower that's gonna be there, just showing up and rushing them would be suicide. Take McManus here and get to the docks. Find a nice tall building and wait. When Hector makes his move with the Colombians, take your shot.
When it all goes down, the first place the Carnales is gonna look is right at the Colombians. They're gonna think they got fucked bad, alright? So you should have no problem sneaking out in the confusion.
Just the same, I'd get the fuck out of there. Who knows what could happen?
Without wasting your time, we drove to the docks, and then we climbed to the top of the roof, and then we lined up our sniper shots. Our only task is to wait for the meeting to start, and then we have to take out Hector. This is literally going to enrage the Carnales, but Hector really didn't have any say. He wasn't even really the boss. If you think about it, he was just a glorified middleman. The real boss is obviously the fat, bald cartel guy who's banging everybody's wives. And then there's Victor, the actual enforcer, who I would argue is probably more of the boss than Hector was. Admittedly, I would have loved to have seen Hector's story be a little bit more than sitting at a table complaining to his brother about how he's mad that his brother's a cuck. But it is what it is. Let's talk about the actual gameplay and mechanics here. I do enjoy the sniper fight inside of Saints Row 1. What I don't enjoy is the fact that the enemy just uses an RPG like it's a sniper. We've talked a little bit about, suspension of disbelief. How am I supposed to believe that when they were going to this meeting that was completely supposed to be secret, they were like, you know what the only weapon we should bring is? Not pistols, not SMGs, not ARs. No. Everybody will bring a goddamn rocket launcher. Because when a meeting goes bad and you're in a close range fight, the solution to that is a rocket launcher. And not just you and your enemy all brought only rocket launchers to a meeting. It's just a continuity thing for me. It doesn't make any sense. I understand from a gameplay mechanic, it's supposed to be interesting and exciting. But for just a continuity's sake, it doesn't make any sense to bring a rocket launcher to a meeting. Needless to say, we snipe out all our targets, and then we're going to find out that the secret meeting wasn't so secret. Well, obviously, we were here. But there's also other people here to obviously move the plot forward. Overall, though, this mission is a lot of fun.
That was a hell of a tip.
No kidding. With the amount of shit we confiscated, we could have put Lopez away for the rest of his life.
It don't matter. He got taken care of anyway.
What do you mean?
Monroe's just happy Lopez is dead.
As far as he's concerned, this case is closed. Hell, if he found the guy who did this, he'd probably send him a fruit basket.
Hello. Hey, Victor. Mira, I'm in the middle of something. What? What? Victor, listen to me very carefully. I don't give a fuck about the drugs. I don't give a fuck about Orjuela.
What about Manuel?
Mira, mujer, cállate el hocico. Who did this to my brother?
What about Hector?
Luz, por favor. Okay, you're right. You deal with the Saints, I'll handle the Colombians. If Manuel is behind this, yo le voy a señalar a él porque la familia López somos los más fuertes.
Dude finds out his brother was assassinated and his wife is sucking his wiener, and he's just like, keep sucking, baby. I'm into this. Oh, baby, keep it in the family. I'm sorry. I'll control myself.
So this guy's the mouthpiece for the Colombians, huh?
Yup.
And he's in town.
Yup.
Interesting.
We've taken out one of the Carnales' legs. We smoked this guy, and they're crippled for good.
Yeah, and so are we. We kill Orejuela, and the Colombians will be all up our ass. Let's figure out what his game is first, and then we'll decide what to do. You know where he's at?
Yeah, well, I'd start with the strip clubs.
Cool. All right, man. Let's go buy this drug lord a lap dance.
I need to be completely and 150% honest with you guys right now. This is probably one of the most unfair missions so far. I mean, like, this is incredibly unfair. I already tried this mission for 30 minutes up to this point. Then I had to go do some googly research onto some Reddit forums with those guys. And it turns out that the only way you can beat this mission is by using a couple of specific cars fully maxed out and upgraded and then spamming your NOS button. If you don't, the game will literally screw you over. Remember all those issues we've been talking about with the enemy just randomly spawning around you? That's gonna happen. Remember how I talked about how the AI will literally just kind of cheat and be able to aimbot you no matter what? That's gonna happen. Remember how we talked about how the AI always seems to be magnetized to you and faster than you no matter what you do? That's gonna happen. I tried this mission for 30 minutes without ever seeing success. The closest I got was actually getting to the church, but it turns out that if you don't get there fast enough and with like an insane amount of distance between you and Victor, then the mission will fail. When I tell you I was getting extremely frustrated with this one, it is 100% factual. That being said, we will eventually accomplish our goal, and this is how we did it. We did it by building an absolute beast of a car. I took the fastest car I could find without having to go buy a car, because every single cent that you earn inside Saints Row 1 has to immediately go towards buying ammunition for every single mission. And then we took that over to rim jobs, where we built an absolute beast of a goddamn machine. According to Reddit forums, the only real way to complete this mission is by building an absolute insane speed machine and then spamming the NOS button. Remember earlier when we were doing our deep dive, I said that I would upgrade exactly one car and waste my money on it? You're looking at that car right now. The way the mission works is that you have to drive to a strip club to confront Manuel, except for Victor's there instead, and he comes charging after you and tries to kill you. This is all fine and dandy, except for you cannot damage Victor in any way, shape, or form. But he can sure damage you, because that's always fun for a player to have to go against. Adding to this difficulty is something that I'm going to call rubber banding. The faster you go, the faster he goes, and the faster he goes, the more that rubber banding happens. He can basically catch up if you make one single error. This is actually kind of okay because you are mostly on a freeway, but there is a hard left turn you have to take in order to be able to get to the Saints Church, and usually that's where he'll catch up, because apparently he's going 700 miles per hour in a goddamn Hummer. Now, we've also talked about the fact that randomly enemies will spawn. This is so much more true when you're doing this mission, because you are on a freeway and you will literally watch their dots just spawn behind you within a couple feet of you on your mini-map, and it's so frustrating. The sad truth is that the mechanics of the time do not help this situation at all. For me to turn around to shoot the enemies, I would have to use my entire joystick to turn around, but then if I slightly touch anything, my car slows down immediately. In order to complete the mission, I have to be very far up of Victor, meaning that his little minions that are constantly spawning behind me are an absolute menace. And after literally doing this for 30 minutes in every other car I could find, this was the only way I could do it, and even still, I got extremely lucky at the left-hand turn. It would have been nice as once we got to the Saints Row territory, some Saints started shooting back, but they don't. It's just you on your own. What's the point in the gang, am I right? But we did get the mission done eventually.
Julius, I don't see what the big deal is.
The deal is you went to talk to the Colombians without me.
We didn't even get to meet him, Jules.
And don't call me Jules, you haven't earned it.
Fine. Julius, you put me in charge of the Los Carnales. Shit, now you got me saying it.
Jax, do your job. Don't think you're bigger than you are. When it comes to the Colombians, you call me. Understand?
Yeah.
All right. Now that that's settled.
I'm going to speed up this section, just like you're going to see it all, but it's going to be sped up. And there's one reason for it. This is 10 minutes of fighting at the church. There'll be some among you who think that this is phenomenal. This is amazing. And there will be some among you that think this is way too long and drawn out. I would literally be exactly in the middle. And there's a specific reason for that. Let's start with it's perfect. I love the fact that they come and attack us. I love the fact that the Los Carnales bring the fight to the Saints and they constantly are putting pressure on the Saints. This is great. I absolutely love it. It makes it really feel like you're going against the cartel. We know that the cartel in real life is literally an overwhelming powerhouse. Their reach is beyond comprehension. The money is beyond comprehension, and the power that they have is beyond comprehension. So I love the fact that when we do something as the 3rd Street Saints, they immediately retaliate as if the real cartel would. Not that I know, I have no affiliation with the cartel whatsoever, but I assume because I've watched documentaries before. So from that standpoint, I really do genuinely enjoy the fact that they come straight at the Saints. They don't cut the chase. They're there. They're ready. But I also can understand the long drawn outside. The way that this fight works is they attack from the north, and they attack from the south, and they attack in the middle, and then they attack from both sides, and you're just running around the church constantly. It's you, Julius, Dex, and Troy versus the entirety of the Los Carnales gang. But there's one caveat. You have to keep everybody alive for some reason. They're not responsible for themselves. It's like COVID times. Everybody's responsible for everybody else for some reason. But they're also idiots, and they'll run straight at a car and get hit by a car, so you gotta go revive them. They'll run right into an RPG. They'll get caught on fire. They're constantly dying, so you, the person you are, you're constantly reviving them, and then if you don't revive them, you fail the mission, which I actually did a few times. This is not that time, though. Eventually, Victor will arrive, and then he just kind of drives laps around the block until you kill him. The first time I actually completed the mission, but the game crashed, and when the game crashes, it doesn't save your progress, so I had to redo it. He got caught on fire and fell down in the middle of the street, and I really liked that ending. I thought it was a perfect ending. In this specific case, he's going to end up dying, but then for some reason, he just teleports into the middle of the church, and I got to go find him in there. I guess it has the same impact, but not really. And now that I think about it, the final cutscene takes place in the church, so I guess it makes sense all around. Maybe that's why the game crashed. Anyway, I like the impact that the Carnales have against the 3rd Street Saints. I don't like how drawn out this mission is. It could have been very much summed up in like 2 or 3 minutes, but at the same time, it could have been made a lot better if they had allowed all the Saints that are apparently in our region, in our district, to come and help with the fight. During the Trojan Horse mission, there was dozens and dozens of Saints fighting inside the gun factory. But when the mission has the Carnales attacking us in our home, well, there's like 6 dudes running around. Like, don't get me wrong, there's the odd Saint out there fighting, but not really that many. But this is the end of Victor, who once again, I do think is a missed opportunity to have an even greater character arc. It actually can be said for every single gang we go through. Tanya would have been a great character arc to have continued into the 2nd game. Victor would have been phenomenal to have in the 2nd game. Sadly, it took the worst characters from each of the gangs, and those ones carried over into the Saints Row 2. Like fucking Donnie. Fuck you, Donnie.
What? Angelo, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're running off to get killed.
Yo no le tengo miedo a Orejuela.
Ay, come on. You don't think Manuel is responsible.
Are you protecting him?
You
want to be with him? Nunca me hable así otra vez.
So how did that meeting go with Julius?
He just got back from a sit-down with Orejuela, and they came to an interesting agreement. If we can get back all the drugs the cops seized, the Colombians are willing to work with us exclusively. We'll have a lock on the whole city.
Get the drugs back from the cops? How the fuck are we gonna do that?
We're taking out the police station.
Are you out of your fucking mind? They'd lock the place down before you get anywhere.
It's Julius's plan. He called it, we have to go with it.
No, we don't. If you load a car up with some explosives, you could blow a hole right into the evidence locker and never have to fire a shot.
That might lower the body count.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, let's do it.
While we take our truck to go get fitted with a bomb, I need to just kind of make you think a little bit. Have you noticed that every time that involves the police, for some reason, Troy stops us from doing it? Also, when we assassinated the Los Carnales leader, the police got a strange tip that conveniently helped them get there in time. If you're catching my drift, Troy's most likely an undercover cop. In fact, it was heavily hinted at when they were planning the, attack, and he said, let's do this, and then Dex said, oh, that's the way the police do it, and he said, yeah, you know what, you're right. Even back in 2006 when you were playing this game, you were like, Troy, you seem a little bit weird. He always gives me the Paul Walker vibe, which is funny, because the original Fast and the Furious came out in 2001. And to be honest with you, I'm a dude, so that was one of my favorite movies. Let's skip ahead to where we get to the police station. We're going to bomb the side of the police station and back a truck up, and then our gang members are going to go inside, and we have to defend this for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Why is it always defend for a certain amount of time? The simple fact of the matter is that the AI isn't good enough for this length of time of defending, especially when there's these massive lulls where nothing happens and the player just stands there. I'm going to have such a good example of this in Saints Row 2, where we have to defend a helicopter pad and not one enemy shows up for 3 minutes. Here, at least a couple guys show up here or there. I don't know why game developers think that players like to have fun by standing still. I think it would have been a lot better for us to be inside loading up the truck while we hear gunfights outside. Then we'd have a sense of urgency to do it faster while saving our allies. They could have done this with a health bar or a gang member bar or literally anything else. But standing outside, this is so boring. We've done this a million times. We've killed them, but at this point, we've killed thousands of people. This isn't fun. Once the truck's loaded up, though, we then have to escape the police, and we've already gone over the car AI and the police AI, and we know that's going to be a terrible time. Making matters worse is when we have to go to Forgive and Forget to get rid of everything, the door won't open. So we have to do this like rigmarole of running away and then coming back and killing the police and then running away and then coming back, and then we can get the door open and then we can go inside, which will give us our cutscene. This is one of those missions where it feels like every step of the way the gameplay mechanics and the game's code is fighting you tooth and nail to make it just as miserable as possible. Which sucks because this mission could have been so good with just a few small tweaks.
Mr. Little, I'm beginning to think we can do business.
I'm glad we could work things out.
So, how exactly would you like to move forward?
Lo sabía! You'll die for what you did to my brother!
I wonder if he means us or Manuel.
Wait!
Hey man, I checked out that address Manuel gave us. It's legit. Pick me up at the church. I want to be there when we take that bastard out. Let's just make sure we get there in one piece. We're gonna have enough problems with Angelo's boys. We don't need any other surprises.
We're almost at the point in the game where we're going to see how terrible the AI is. But before we get there, we first have to storm Angelo's mansion, which also happens to be like the only mansion in all of Stillwater for some reason. Every time I pull up to it, I can never get this image out of my head of when you played Simpsons Hit and Run and you pulled up to Mr. Burns' mansion. I don't know why, but it always reminds me of it. There's zero reason why it should, but it just does. When we get to the mansion, we're going to have to do what we've we've done a million times. We're going to have to kill a crap ton of enemies, which I guess if you think about it can be considered fair. Seems how we know that Angelo knows that we are going to come after him. It just it's starting to become a little bit stale, if you get what I'm saying. I don't know how to word this without sounding like we're complaining. Saints Row 1 very much suffers from a success. The game is so good, the story is so good, the concept is so good that when you play it, you are having so much fun, but then there's these moments where you just kind of have clarity, like post-nut clarity, you know, like after you have a good nut. All of a sudden, you could like solve quantum physics. The same thing could be said about Saints Row. You do these great missions, you have so much fun, and then all of a sudden you'll have a mission where you should be having fun, but you just can't help but go, oh, I've done this a million times before. I think the reason why some missions stand out more than others, though, is because of the camera. When you're watching this, you'll notice the camera's constantly clipping in and out of rooms, it's constantly blocked, you're constantly fighting the mechanics. And when you have a camera that's doing this, you can't help but have your immersion ruined. Well, yes, the AI isn't that great, and yes, the gameplay mechanics aren't that fantastic. When you are able to see everything, you can immerse yourself in the world and the universe, but when the camera is fighting the inside of the interior of a building, you can't help but get a little bit frustrated about what you're seeing. So I guess my problem isn't the AI or the fact that we've done it a million times before. My problem is the camera. Needless to say, eventually we'll kill all the guards, and of course, in typical cliche fashion, the second that we get to the enemy, well, he's gonna escape and we're gonna have to chase him through the city. You have to be careful not to blow his car up. I actually failed this mission once because I did blow his car up. You have to let him escape, and by let him, I mean you have to follow him essentially until you get to a bridge where he's gonna jump it. Now that we've all played Cyberpunk 2077, I like to call these missions Cyberpunk missions, because if you go back and play Cyberpunk 2077 and you do the Nomad opening storyline, you don't have to do anything. Every single time you're being chased or you have to chase somebody and they're, you know, Vicky's sitting there going like, shoot him, V, shoot him. You don't actually have to. The game will play itself. Those cars are still going to blow up when they blow up, and they're going to turn when they're going to turn. They're going to escape when they escape. The exact same thing is going to happen here, and I have always had this problem when it comes to missions like this. You should let the player be able to end this the way that the player wants to. If you're going to let me damage the car enough to have the car explode, that shouldn't be a fail state. That should just end the story. Now, obviously, this is going to come down to personal preference, and the way that you look at it and the way that I look at it are going to be two very drastically different ways. The problem is that when you look at Saints Row, sometimes you can't damage the vehicles, like with Victor when he chased us on the highway. And other times you can destroy the vehicle, causing you to fail, like when we're chasing Angelo. Both these missions have happened within the same gang, meaning that you would be forgiven for shooting at the car, because only a couple missions ago you could literally shoot 57 RPGs at the Hummer and it did no damage. It's this inconsistency throughout Saints Row 1 that starts to frustrate you a little bit, because you never know what you are and are not supposed to do. In fact, the objective at the top left just says the title of the mission, and it will briefly say follow Angelo, or it'll kill this guy, or do this, or whatever. If I'm not supposed to kill him, then why let me blow up the car? And if you're going to let me blow up the car, then why didn't you let me blow it up with Victor? That would at least have trained me as a player to know that sometimes you're not supposed to destroy everything. Instead, sometimes you set in guardrails and other times you don't, and it's frustrating.
Don't worry about it. He ain't got too many places he can go. We'll find him.
I need you to see what happens in these next two clips, because this is going to be one of the biggest frustrations of this mission. I've been alluding to it this entire video when it comes to the AI. So check this out and then we'll talk about it.
They got rocket launchers!
Swear to God, every time I fix him up, some asshole puts a bullet in him.
gotta do a lot more damage than that. Keep unloading on that plane like that, and there's no way they can take off. Those rocket launchers are gonna fuck us up unless you do something. I'd appreciate it if you could keep my ride from being tracked. Where the fuck did they get rocket?
That was my first time in 20 years returning to this airport. Let me just clarify everything that happened there. I have to fight the cars that are chasing me, shooting me, and damaging my car at an alarming rate. Simultaneously, I have to also shoot every single enemy that's on the roof with RPGs. Simultaneously, I also have to shoot the plane down. And I have to do all this while my AI driver, Dex, just randomly goes everywhere, including crashing, by the way. Skill issue. Okay, let's watch one more time.
Shit, back me up!
This ain't so hard. Take out those chumps with the RPG. Just got through playing this baby off. Kill all these bitches! Not bad, man. But we gotta do a lot more.
Okay, so my bad. I didn't shoot the 16 dudes with RPGs, the cars that were chasing me, as well as stop the dude who could apparently reload in 1 nanosecond, and I didn't speed up the car when I needed to, so we just ended up falling off the ramp. My bad. I should have done better. It's a skill issue for sure.
Drop those bitches with the rocket launcher. Not bad, man. But we gotta do a lot more damage than that. Kill those motherfuckers before they blow us up! Appreciate it if you can keep my ride from being tracked. If we don't kill those guys with the rocket launchers, we're fucked.
Okay, I think you guys get it. I just really needed to show you guys how absolutely incredibly unfair this part of the game is. Before we continue, I know there's going to be that one guy in the comment section that's like, hey guys, I have a neck beard and I can do that for sure. You just got to keep trying again over and over and over and over. I will not. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's actually break down this mission now. Angelo is leaving on his private jet and he wants his wife to meet up with him so they can leave together. The Saint's job is to stop that jet from taking off. There's a few things right off the bat that are giant red flags for this mission. One, top left, there's a timer. We have a timer to get to the location in a certain amount of time, otherwise we fail the mission. That timer counts down to when the plane takes off, yet when we get to the location where the mission technically starts, the airport, I'm not in control of the speed in which the car drives. Dax is, and he doesn't drive that fast. Second red flag is the fact that we don't have control of the car, meaning I can't drive away from the RPGs, I can't counter the cars coming at me, I can't try to weave and dodge, so I just have to accept the fact that my NPC is going to get me through this, and it won't. Which brings me to why I'm using a cheat. I'm using the repair car cheat because, my god, I'm not dedicating 150 hours to trying to get get this mission solved. What the developers wanted you to do was to keep replaying the mission and slowly learn where everybody is, and then use that to gain knowledge to be able to complete the mission. Well, it's not 2006 anymore, so I don't need to sit here and sacrifice my time. I can just simply add a cheat so I can keep continuing the story at a relatively reasonable rate. But watch how many times I have to enter said cheat in order to be able to pass this mission. It's an alarming amount. We have covered this to an absolute insane length over to this point, but I had to in order to get to this specific mission. There is way too much that is not in the player's control when it comes to taking out this plane. I don't control the speed. I don't control how we move. I don't control where we're going. I can't even know how Dax is going to steer. And then even then, when you think you know, he does other things like doesn't gas or doesn't turn or whatever. Or he even crashes. The developers didn't take the time to even code in a proper route for Dax to follow. He's literally crashing into walls when he doesn't need to. This could have been solved by having him have more speed to make the jump. It could have been solved by allowing him to drift. It could have been solved by allowing me to drive and Dax shoots the RPG. The sad truth is that this is a bottleneck when it comes to the game's storyline, and it was a bottleneck in 2006. The truth is that this mission is terribly, terribly designed. Is the premise there? Yeah. Is the story conclusion there? Yeah. But is it fun? No. Wasn't fun in 2006, and it hasn't been fun for 20 years since then. This is a miserable experience of a mission. Just like the earlier mission that we referenced from Grand Theft Auto 3, this mission is deliberately designed to pad out game time. This mission is deliberately designed to be difficult for difficulty's sake. And while yes, it can be completed if you play it enough times, is it really worth it to do so now 20 years later? Nope. You're not gaining anything from it. So for ease of this video and ease of my, mental state, I'm just going to use the cheat. The truth of the matter is there's just too many variables that aren't in your control for this to be a fun experience for you or anybody else. And to the individuals who say that they're going to do it and they love it and this is their favorite mission in the whole entire world, I'm happy for you. Just because you like it doesn't mean I have to. If you came to me and said that your favorite meal in the entire world is a bunch of horse shit that you've been eating and that you loved it, does not mean that I have to as well. I might just pass on the plate of horse shit. We will eventually destroy the plane, which takes a ridiculous amount of rockets, which is really funny because anytime you shot a plane before this, you did it in 2 rockets, yet for some reason Angelo's plane is 150. And then his wife's going to arrive. It's actually funny because she's the reoccurring character for the Los Carnales in Saints Row 2, but she falls from grace quite far.
Johnny's gonna be jealous.
Oh my God!
What are you doing here?
I was supposed to leave with Angelo.
So what's in here? Guns? Money? Some uncut shit? Shoes?
Actually, they're this season's new.
Bullshit, that's last year's fall collection.
That's not true.
Just let it go, man. No reason to piss off Manuel. Let's get going.
So, what am I supposed to do now?
I don't fucking care.
I have no place to go.
C, answer A.
But you can't just leave me here.
Bitch, you're trying my patience.
Can you at least tell me where Manuel is?
I changed my mind. Shoot her. Good job, man. I'll tell Julius we're done here. Take Angelo's ride. I'll drive this back to your crib. You know what? I think Julius was right about you.
If you've been keeping track, we've taken out 2 out of the 3 gangs in Stillwater, leaving us the final gang, the High Rollers. Now, let's just get this out of the way here and now. I think the High Rollers are the weakest gang in the entire game. Not just from a story standpoint, but from an actual in-universe standpoint. The High Rollers are just street racers that for some reason have territory, which is kind of sad because they have one of the stronger characters in the game. We don't really interact with Troy that much, and we don't really interact with Dex that much, but we did interact a lot with Gat, and we're going to interact a lot with somebody named Lynn. Lynn is probably the biggest face of wasted potential in a video game that I think I've seen recently or in the last 20 years. At least in the games that I play. Lynn had so much potential to be an absolute powerhouse within the Saints Row universe, and you're going to see why she doesn't become a powerhouse. This is also where we're going to meet Donnie. Donnie is an absolute and utter moron. And sadly, Donnie will be in Saints Row 2, and he honestly doesn't deserve to be, because he's the exact same character in Saints Row 2 as he is in this one. To simplify everything that we're saying here is that the last gang that we have to go against is by far the least fun gang to go against. But that being said, in order for us to own all of Stillwater, we have to go against them. So let's do it.
That's a sweet ride, Lynn.
Uh-huh.
Who tuned it for you?
No one. I did it myself.
The spoiler looks like Donnie's work.
No way, that underglow screams Ricky Lou.
Yeah, I guess it does.
What is this, fucking 3rd grade?
What do you mean?
Forget it, I'll see you tomorrow.
Dude, she totally wants you.
Assholes. I swear to God, we're not gonna be able to kill these bastards fast enough. Aside from macho bullshit, I haven't heard much. The only interesting news I got is that a shipment of high-performance cars is coming in today. It's not much, I know, so we're gonna make the best of it. Jack the truck carrying the cars before it makes its delivery and take it to Sampson. He'll load up the cars with a few surprises, then finish the delivery. Now get out of here before someone sees us.
I'm going to let you guys see this mission in its full potential, the full 2 minutes and 53 seconds of how amazing this mission is. We've been tasked with going and stealing a truck full of sports cars and race cars, whatever you want to call them, depending on how you view different cars, you're going to think they're different things. In the world of the high rollers, these are all street racing cars. It's pretty clear who this has all been modeled after, what the inspiration for this gang came from. It came from the Fast and the Furious. We've already referenced it. It came out in 2001 and had a cultural impact within the world. In fact, when Saints Row and Fast and the Furious and all of the greatest gang movies ever came out, they came out in the same era, which says something about the early 2000s, but it also is why everything kind of has that tinge of being the same. There's nothing wrong with it. I love the Fast and the Furious franchise until a certain point when a giant bald Samoan joined and made the entire franchise about him, but I'm digressing. Let's talk about the high rollers. I have a big problem with them because in the scheme of things, when you look at the Vice Kings and you look at the Los Carnales and you look at the 3rd Street Saints, they're the one that kind of stands out as the weakest link. And as I played through Saints Row 2006, you can't help but realize that the only reason the high rollers have been allowed to exist is because the other gangs didn't see them as a threat. Each of the other gangs knew that walking through their territory would be an absolute cakewalk and didn't see them as a threat, so they didn't even bother with it. A better way to put it is like the nerdy kid that sits in the corner that thinks he can beat everybody up. The whole school knows that he can't, but they all let him pretend that he can. We all know a guy that is like the high rollers. The truth is, though, is that if we look at it from a critical angle, we can see the Vice Kings are there for the political aspect of it, and the Los Carnales were there for pure mayhem and fun. But the high rollers are there just to simply be filler. It's hard to argue that they're not there for filler. The mission structure is way weaker than the other two gangs. The characters are way weaker than the other two gangs. The gang itself is way weaker than the other two gangs. And throughout the entire gang storyline, there won't be a single solitary mission that stands out above any of the others. We all remember blowing up Mr. Benjamin King's building. And we all remember chasing down the plane on the runway for the Los Carnales, or being hunted down by Victor. I just finished Saints Row 1, and I don't think I remember a single mission from Saints Row 1, except for when the one standout character dies. I'm not spoiling nothing. We all know this game. It's been 20 goddamn years. It's like people who are like, don't spoil Schindler's List. The spoiler's history. I can't control that. We stole the truck. It was super duper easy, and we drove the truck to where it needed to go because, well, that was also super duper easy, and what ended up happening is we got a super duper easy win. I can't elaborate on it any more than I already did. So with that being said, let's move on to the next mission and hope it's better.
Try not to look so conspicuous. You did good, but I'm not through with you yet. Those cars you stole have been rigged to blow once the engine reaches a high enough temperature. I need you to make sure those cars get nice and hot. Now, there's a race going down in Chinatown tonight, and I think you should give them some tough competition. I know these guys. If you're in the lead for the final stretch, they're gonna hit the NOS to blow past you. When they do, boom. As soon as those cars are wrecked, get the hell out of there. You're no good to us dead. Thanks for the dance. Now hurry up. You got a race to win.
I'm going to let you watch the full minutes of 2 minutes and 53 seconds of this mission, just so you guys can get a grip of what this is. I need to explain it to you. The premise of it is that we're going to race the racing gang but we've rigged it so their NOS will make their cars explode, except for they will only use their NOS if they get to the lead. Okay, interesting. Now, I've done a lot of side activities that are racing related within Saints Row, and I'm going to be honest with you, the racing is always extremely easy. The developers knew this, so they came up with a solution. They said, how can we make it so the player can't just immediately take the lead and the mission's immediately over? And some fat guy named Greg sat in the corner with a bowl full of Cheetos and just an absolutely stained wife beater shirt on, and he said, I got it. Make it so they can never get into the lead. And the boardroom said, that's perfect. How do we do that? Add Troy to the mix and have Troy throw out schoolboy insults at the enemy gang members for an arbitrary amount of time to fill up a meter. And that's exactly what they did. So this entire race, you're not actually allowed to get into first place, because if you do, the cars go faster than you anyway and will blow past you. Instead, what you have to do is you have to get close enough that, you know, our boy Troy can yell out the window things like, you suck. Is that really how you turn the wheel? My mama turns the wheel better than that. You suck. I think your driving's bad. And then the people in the other cars are like, oh, did he just taunt me? And they hit that NOS, you know, Vin Diesel style. They get shot back into their seat, but then their car explodes. And then you move on to the next guy and you do the exact same thing. But then the developers were like, well, some people aren't going to be able to take sharp turns. So how do we guarantee them that they will be able to complete this mission without any issues? Fat guy named Greg said, straight line, baby. And they were like, oh, okay. So we'll just all of a sudden have this race that took place in all of suburbia to just randomly decide to veer onto the highway and drive a straight line, where then Troy can throw out schoolboy insults like, you're a big doo-doo head. What I'm saying is the premise of the mission sounds a lot cooler than it actually was. And it sucks because Lynn is such a strong character for the time. Back in the 2000s, man, oh my God, you didn't have female leads this strong before. But she's basically Michelle Rodriguez from Fast and the Furious, and I appreciated Michelle Rodriguez in the Fast and the Furious. And I really, really do like Lynn, especially when you compare Lynn to other characters like Dex. Her potential was so wasted here, it's not even funny. Needless to say, we're going to drive around, we're going to throw out our schoolboy insults like you poo-poo head, and we're going to be able to destroy the other gang by having them use their NOS to die. I really do genuinely wish it was more interesting than that, but it simply is not. You guys are seeing it in its fullness. These are our first two missions with the high rollers, and we haven't even met Donnie yet, my least favorite character in the entire game. Maybe even the entire franchise. I don't know. We'll see.
Need a light?
Thanks.
Fucking asshole.
I tell you, you and me are always making new friends. Things are moving too slow. We gotta step it up. I hear a guy named Joseph Price calls the shots. I don't know much about him except that he's friends with some mechanic named Donnie. If we get in good with Price's crew, we'll always be one step ahead of those fuckers. Here's the plan. Go and tear up Donnie's shop. Right when you're about to finish off Price's buddy, I'll rush in and save the day. Make it look good, but don't you dare mess up my car. If we're lucky, Donnie will arrange a meet with Price. Thanks for buying my tea.
So we're off to meet Donnie. Donnie is a car mechanic. He's basically the nerd from Fast and the Furious. He's really good at the car stuff, but he's not really good at anything else. He's kind of stupid for some reason. Literal car genius, life dumbass. Just one caveat though, when you get here, this will be the first time in the entire game we've been sent to go kill a bunch of people but not kill one person. And it did screw me up the first time. I ended up killing Donnie by accident. You know, the giant arrow above his head I didn't see because of the camera behind the wall. But when we get here, basically how it's going to work is we're going to fight our way inside of the garage. Yes, it's the first action we've had in the high rollers that wasn't just driving insane poo-poo head. We're doing all this to basically make Donnie have a false sense of security when it comes to Lynn, and to kind of like push Lynn through the gang without having to do all the high stuff. You know, having to fight her way through it and having to work her way up the ranks, which could take years. By saving Donnie, we basically get you jumped to the top of the gang because Donnie is literally the guy to go to get your car, well, card or whatever mechanics do. As a mechanic in real life, I know exactly what mechanics do. They touch car snakes and fix pedestrian stoppers and stuff like that. I think you guys are probably by now realizing that I wasn't lying when I said that the mission structure for the high rollers is incredibly weak. It almost feels like the high rollers were just tacked on because they were like, having two gangs isn't enough, let's have a third gang. That way we can split the city into 33.33% to make a 99.99%, which then leaves the 0.01% left for the Saints Row to start building up their criminal empire. Otherwise, we just have to believe that the developers and the writers spent a lot of time on the Vice Kings and a lot more time on the Lost Carnales and then said, oh, how do we fit in the High Rollers? I know, just copy the Fast and the Furious script. But let's be a little bit generous for a second and look at it from a different angle. Not everybody wants to do non-stop shooting like the Lost Carnales missions. And not everybody gives a shit about the rap lifestyle and the fake gangbanger stuff that the Vice Kings were pushing. Though admittedly in 2006, everybody was pretending to be a fake gangbanger. I remember very clearly going to school and like all the popular kids were wearing G-Unit clothes and claiming that they'd also been shot 9 times like 50 Cent. But I also grew up in a real ghetto, so it kind of at least fit the theme a little bit, even though those guys were also posers. So the developers had to give the other people, the racing fans, something. And at the time, it makes sense. Need for Speed was a massive title that people absolutely love. Forza was another one. Midnight Club kind of had the gang vibe, but you were a racer. So it does make sense when you look at it within the time. It's only now in the future that we can look at it and go like, oh, this is very bad. This is very weak. But it's about to get so much worse once we meet Donnie and the rest of the gang. My goodness, are you guys in for a shock when you guys see what we're going against here? Vin Diesel's here for sure.
Donnie, get down! What are you waiting for? Get in!
We gotta get out of here!
I think you scratched my hood.
Look,
Motherfucker.
Who are you?
I'm Lynn. And you're welcome.
Okay, I think it's time we drop the whole High Rollers thing. This is the West Side Rollers. Little pro media, social media tip is sometimes you deliberately say things wrong, so then the people that are watching the video get so triggered that they type down in the comments that it's not High Rollers, it's the West Side Rollers, and then you're like, I know, but like, thanks for the engagement. Anyway, you can't trust anything you see on TV, just like Donnie can't trust Lynn. We now have to just follow Lynn around for an arbitrary amount of time. This is where you really, as a person who's played the game many, many times before, and it's been 20 years, we can sit back and go, okay, I see you, Volition. You're padding out that game time. We've already discussed it. If you separate the side activity content from the actual story, oh my god, the story's pretty damn short, which is okay. I'm a person that firmly believes quality over quantity. I would rather a great short game than a bloated long game like Valhalla. But it's moments like this where all I'm doing is simply following Lynn around to try to, I guess, make it more believable that Donnie was going to be killed by me, the, gang member who killed everybody else inside of his garage. In all honesty, if we're thinking critically here, we already killed everybody inside of the garage. I think Donnie got the message. And after Lynn picked him up, there's absolutely zero incentive for me to steal a random car and chase her down. In fact, it relies on the fact that I'm willing to steal a random car and chase her down. Adding a little bit to the mystery here of why they chose to make you drive around for a while is eventually your task will be to just let her drive away anyway. So you really realize that it's time padding. In fact, if you've actually been paying attention, every single one of our talking segments has been exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Not exactly that amount, but around 2 minutes and 30 seconds to 2 minutes 45 seconds. It's almost like the developers have deliberately set up this amount of time to say this is what people will accept as a reasonable mission length. There's absolutely no proof to it, but I'm a person that believes in there's patterns and everything, and what are the odds that every single time you and me are talking, it's around 2 minutes? Even if I fail the mission, it's still 2 minutes. Doesn't change anything, it's just worth pointing out now that we're doing a deep dive. With that being said, we're going to let Lynn get away and we're going to be able to continue the storyline, and this is where we're going to get to meet Vin Diesel pretty quick. You cannot convince me that the main villain here is not modeled after Vin Diesel's Riddick. I've been cutting out the getting to the location part because I just was trying to speed it up a little bit for you guys, but I have to show you guys us pulling up to the West Side Rollers HQ and how we just sneak up to the window. We're going to do this constantly. Pretty much every time you see us in this house, we're standing outside the window. There is literally West Side Roller gang members standing 5 feet away from me right now. But nobody sees me. I'm invisible because I got a fedora on.
So he's okay? That's great.
Yes, how could we possibly score dime bags without him?
Oh, come on, Uncle Will. He's not that...
What's up, Price?
You scared the shit out of me, Donnie.
I scared the shit out of me.
Donnie, it's always a pleasure when you bring strangers into my house.
Oh, fuck. I forgot. This is...
I'm Lynn.
She totally saved my ass, Mr. Sharp. She's a hell of a driver.
I'm the best racer that ever came out of Chinatown.
How come I've never heard of you?
'Cause I got tits.
Is that what you call those? Suppose I deserved that.
Yeah, you did.
My nephew has a unique sense of humor.
That was supposed to be funny?
Oh, I thought it was until you hit me in the face.
Yeah, then it was hilarious.
Joseph, you better hurry. You don't want to miss your meeting.
Sorry, I gotta take off. Lynn, it was nice meeting you. I'll catch you later, Donnie.
So we're finally hitting that convoy, huh?
I don't know what you're talking about, Donnie.
Well, sure, you...
I don't know what you're talking about, Donnie.
Oh, right. Just sit tight. Price should be back soon.
As stimulating as this conversation is, I'm afraid I need to make some calls. If you'd excuse me.
Okay, so our task is simple. Just drive around Stillwater, find 3 of the cargo trucks in which the West Side Rollers are going after, and stop the West Side Rollers from being able to take out the trucks. The mission doesn't get any more better than that, I guess. The problem when you focus an entire gang on its cars is the fact that you then have to focus all the missions around the cars, and there's only so many ways you can make a mission with cars interesting. You're either going to be doing racing, following things, or you're going to have to escort things. We're literally doing a mission called Escort. And everything you do has to somehow tie back to cars. With the Vice Kings, we were able to pretty much do whatever we wanted because they were still a gang at the end of the day. They just happened to make music. And with the Lost Carnales, we could literally do whatever we wanted as well because they were literally just a gang's gang. Money, guns, and sex, that's what they were selling, and that's what they did in the gameplay. The West Side Rollers are a street racing game, yet for some reason the developers didn't know how to make a street racing gang. And they had some reference materials with movies like Gone in 60 Seconds, Fast and the Furious, and Driver. There were ways to make this a lot more interesting than what they did, and sadly they chose to do this. So rather than waste my time and yours by talking about driving around collecting 3 trucks, we're simply going to fast forward through it and skip to the next mission. And I'm sure you guys can understand that.
You know what I hate? Underglow. That shit is tacky as hell.
Whatever. I think
they all got away.
That's what the word is.
How did this happen?
Our crew from Saints Row fucked up our boys.
Who?
Same guys who fucked up my shop. I think they're the 5th Street Altar Boys.
the 3rd Street Saints.
What she said.
Will you stop smoking that shit? I need you to focus.
If you need me to focus, I'd pass that shit back.
Donnie.
All right. You got some time before the buyers need those parts, right?
The buyers?
Oh, they're a bunch of guys overseas that Mr. Sharp knows.
Donnie, do we have to have another conversation?
Sorry.
Don't worry about it. Just think.
Give me some time. I bet Lynn and I can whip something up.
Okay. You game for that, Lynn?
Hey, anything I can do to help.
I know he's your friend, Joseph, but I will not let that Nimrod ruin my plans.
Your plans?
Our plans.
Look, Donnie may be a little flaky, but he always steps up at the end.
I certainly hope so.
Lynn and I got this shit down.
This should be compelling.
All right, kids, check this shit out. So we lost the parts the buyers wanted, and there's no way another shipment like that is gonna roll through here again anytime soon. Lynn and I did the math, and there are a couple of key cars that we can strip down to get the parts we need.
See what I tell you? This guy's a fucking genius. I'm gonna go get the boys ready.
So your plan is to go steal cars. You really know how to think outside the box, Donnie.
Don't talk to him like that.
I'll take your advice to heart.
It's not advice.
A threat? How refreshing.
Listen up, you
Lynn, don't worry about it.
Shut up, Donnie.
You were saying...
I was about to tell you to go fuck yourself.
And here I thought we were bonding.
Let's go, Donnie.
That's probably the smartest thing you've said all day.
Stopping those hijackings really fucked things up for the Rollers. They got a whole list of cars that they're planning on jacking. Make sure they can't find what they're looking for.
I don't know why Lynn's poking the bear. She's been part of this gang for about 17 seconds and she immediately shotgunned herself up to the tippity top, and rather than respecting the gang leader, she's poking at them. I understand it's supposed to come off as she's some sort of tough, badass bitch, but in reality it comes off as she's absolutely being stupid and reckless. That also being said though, she is still one of my favorite characters in the game. But we do have to realize that she's kind of being dumb here. Once again, rather than waste your time, I'm going to tell you what happens here. I have to drive around and I have to stop the West Side Rollers from stealing 4 cars. If you think this sounds exactly the exact same thing as what we just did where we stopped them from stealing 4 trucks, you are 110% right, except for it wasn't 4 trucks, it was 3, so you were 100% wrong. And it seems how I don't want to waste your time. We're going to do exactly what we just did. Fast forward through it and we're going to skip to the next mission because, my God, we don't need to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Donnie, slow down. Don't worry about it. It wasn't your fault. I know you are. It's okay. Just relax, man. Yeah, you do that. Later. Fuck!
That was productive.
That's the second time the Saints fucked us!
3 times, if you count the attack on the garage. Quite a coincidence.
What do you mean?
Well, let's think. The same 4 people knew about those jobs. If I didn't sell us out, and you didn't sell us out, who else is there?
Donnie? Donnie may not like it when things get messy, but there's no way he'd turn on me.
Which brings us to...
Lynn.
Bravo.
This is gonna be a bitch to explain to Donnie.
Luckily, you're not going to.
What do you mean?
Please, you're too attached to the boy. I'll handle this.
I don't give a shit what you do to Lynn, but you better not hurt Donnie.
Of course, Joseph. I'll keep that in mind.
Player, Lynn's been saying you're doing a hell of a job when it comes to the rollers. Keep it up. That Lynn?
Hey, meet me at the pool hall. The rollers are getting into something big.
Don't let me hold you up. You know how the lady hates to be kept waiting.
Good girl.
Go fuck yourself.
Temper, little girl. Look at you. All tied up pretty as a present. I think it's time to unwrap you.
In a shocking turn of events, it turns out Lynn wasn't being very tactical by constantly poking the boss. What's incredibly funny about Lynn going undercover is we get like the perfect example of how not to go undercover, while simultaneously we have Troy, who's very clearly an undercover cop, doing the perfect example of how to be an undercover gang member. Where Troy's working with the gang and he's skirting the lines of the law a little bit and sometimes dabbling a little bit just too much into the gang side, if you ask me. Lynn's over here just going, you know what, I am not part of your gang and I'm going to make that blatantly obvious to you and I'm going to tell my gang exactly what you're doing every step of the way. If Lynn had been smart, she would have let some missions go and some missions not, and she would have allowed there to be a little bit of give and take. We've talked about this with the Vice Kings, and we talked about this with the Lost Carnales. The best Saints Row can do is when it feels like both gangs are pushing and taking. When it's a tug of war. When it comes to the West Side Rollers, it never feels like a tug of war. It just feels like the Saints are stomping on them every single step of the way. And while you could make the argument that yes, this is the case simply because Lynn's telling us everything that's going on, the truth is that at any moment, the West Side Rollers could have taken the fight to us, the 3rd Street Saints, and made it feel like that tug of war. But because they didn't, it feels like there's no stakes, if you get what I mean. And now that we fought our way to the pool hall and we're killing all of the high rollers that are there, West Side Rollers, get it right, shorty. We still feel like there's no stakes to be had here. This is supposed to be a big, impactful moment, but you can't help but sit back and go, you know what? She's getting what she deserved. She poked the bear. She literally told him to fuck off. And she didn't even try to hide her allegiance whatsoever. So while she's my favorite character, I understand why she died.
Sounds like the cops are coming, Mr. Sharp.
Let's take our guest for a ride, shall we?
Hey, I think we stopped moving. You listening? You even alive? Say something. Ow! I'll take that as a yes. Where the fuck's my lighter?
What are you doing driving Lynn's ride, Mr. Sharp?
I'm glad you could make it, Donnie. There's something I want you to see.
Stay calm. We're gonna get out of this.
Lynn?
Donnie, listen to me! I swear to God!
Lynn!
Take a deep breath and count to 10, Donnie.
Count to 10? You just shot my girl!
Yes, it's tragic. Could you give me a hand here?
Why did you...
Lynn was working with the Saints. Now, would you give me a hand? This car is heavy.
Donnie, where are you going?
Children.
Stay calm. We're gonna get out of this. I think I found my lighter. Did you hear that asshole, Donnie? He said I was his girl.
And that's how Lynn dies. I understand it happens off camera, but they do tell you later on in a cutscene that they found her body in the river, which means she is most definitely dead. So we're going to move on past that and talk about, like, do you want to know how we know that the West Side Rollers were kind of an afterthought? We're going after the big baddie right now, the big head honcho of the gang, the head of the snake, if you will. I want to be clear, you guys have watched pretty much every single thing I've done with the West Side Rollers. We've done a race. We stopped them from stealing 3 trucks. We stopped them from stealing 4 cars, and then we are now gonna kill the head honcho. That's it. That's the story arc of the West Side Rollers. There's still a few more missions after this, but after you take off the head of the snake, you kind of lose all momentum, because at that point the body's just kind of decaying. What makes it worse is when we chase him down, it just dissolves into a shoot his car until it blows up thing, and you'd think you'd get a big epic cutscene like we did with Warren in the Vice Kings, or we did with the Lopez brothers. Sadly, we don't. It just ends. It's just over. He's dead. So in one very anticlimactic mission, the Saints lost Lynn and the West Side Rollers lost the literal boss, and they didn't even give it a courtesy of an actual cutscene. Lynn didn't get the courtesy of actually seeing how they escaped the trunk or how she sacrificed her life for us, and the leader of the West Side Rollers didn't get the courtesy of at least like a final fuck you to the Saints. It was just done. It just cuts to black. The whole time you play the West Side Rollers missions, you can't help but shake that feeling. You can't get rid of it. You just always feel like you were just playing something that was thrown in at the last second. I have no evidence to prove that. I can just say that as somebody who's playing the game, it doesn't feel as good as the other 2 gangs. This is shown in the mission structure, this is shown in the characters, it's even shown in how fast we literally kill the head guy. We never interacted with this guy outside of cutscenes, and even then, we never interacted with him at all. I have 0 ties to the West Side Rollers whatsoever, unlike the Vice Kings and unlike the Los Carnales. Just food for thought.
Did you catch the news? Looks like they found Lynn's body floating in the river this morning. Sorry, dog. I know you did everything you could. Johnny's gonna take it pretty hard when he finds out. You can bet your ass that he's gonna be calling for blood.
Listen up, people. We're done dicking around with the Saints. These streets were ours before those bitches from the row showed up. And when they stepped, what did we do? They fucked up our rates and we just took it. They fucked up our deliveries and we just took it. And now they killed my uncle, and who knows what the fuck they did to Donnie. Now I'm only gonna say this once. We're not gonna sit here and fucking take it.
Hell no. Yeah.
Let them up, boys. We're burning Saints Row to the ground.
We're not gonna wait for them to hit us again. We're taking the fight to the Rollers.
Yeah, well, we might have to rethink that plan.
What's going on?
Word is, every roller that Price could find is headed this way.
How much time we got?
Shit, man, I don't know. My man says they're moving pretty fast.
All right, you coming with me. We got some rollers to fuck up.
Okay, so finally, the West Side Rollers have gained some sort of ball sack, and Vin Diesel and his gang are coming after the 3rd Street Saints. So where does this fight take place? On the freeway, of course. Nowhere near either of the two gang territories. We're just going to race on the freeway. The way the mission breaks down is we and Julian are going to take off, and we're going to find some convoys on the freeway, and we're going to blow them up. It's supposed to be a high-octane thing, and to be honest with you, it's pretty fun. It's all right. Like, at this point, you're so checked out on the storyline that you don't really genuinely care, and you're just going through the motions to just move the story along, which is kind of a bad thing if I'm being honest with you. You should be invested, and you're simply not. With the Vice Kings, you were invested in Benjamin King, you were invested in Tanya, you were invested in Warren, and it felt like a story that you wanted to see through. And with the Lost Carnales, it was the exact same thing, because the Lost Carnales never let you forget that they existed. They were always attacking you. They were always in your mind. The West Side Rollers, in their entire story arc, comes off as more of a temper tantrum, which makes sense for the roided up Vin Diesel character Price, who's just thinking with his steroids, I guess? I don't know. But I think the most laughable moment about all this is the fact that their entire mission structure just evolves around killing a certain amount of targets in the most easy way possible. Destroying cars and enemies in Saints Row is not hard. We've already discussed this, but when it comes to the West Side Rollers, it involves just going to their location, and they hardly even push back. So you very much lack that investment of difficulty, and if a video game can't get that down, what ends up happening is that the player, you, ends up turning off your brain, and you're not really invested in anything that's happening on screen. The best way I can use this to explain it is Cocomelon for adults. It's just stuff on the screen to keep us entertained, but none of it's any substance. And adding to this is when we finally have to take out Price, when we finally go after Vin Diesel's Riddick. It's gonna devolve into a cutscene where our character is launched out of the car at about 150 miles per hour, and we walk that shit off like it doesn't even phase us. Our fedora doesn't even come off. I understand with Saints Row that you're supposed to have this expectation of it's a video game, it's not that real, but like there's certain things where your brain just can't wrap your head around it. Every other time throughout the entire game when I've been thrown out of my car, whether I'm going 10 kilometers an hour or 100 kilometers an hour, I have taken damage. But at 150 kilometers an hour, 200 miles an hour, whatever you want, wherever you live, I'm going to walk that off, and then he's just going to get away just to drag out this mission just a little bit longer. And that can be the entire summary of the West Side Rollers. It's just drug out for a little bit too long. And to be honest with you, it didn't even need to exist in the first place. The other two gangs were just way better. Enhance their story.
We're coming up on Price. Let's take that motherfucker out. Nigga, you should buckle your seatbelt.
Just the same, one getting away ain't bad.
Let's get out of here, player. We'll deal with Price once you get patched up.
And just immediately rolled us into the final mission of the West Side Rollers. All that happened was Price called us that it's going to be meet me at the car dealership and we're going to end this here and now. And then we showed up and he had a semi-truck that's loaded up with a bunch of street racing cars and he tried to run us over. You just saw that. I don't know why I explained it to you. Now we are going to chase him down in just a random car that we found on the side of the road. And we're going to, well, shoot the truck. And the only way you can destroy the truck is by shooting the cars on the back of the truck, because everybody knows that if you want to destroy a semi-truck, you have to first shoot its cargo first. Otherwise, the truck is impervious to damage. Everybody knows this. I really do wish I could say that this mission has more to it, but it's literally that. You just drive behind it and you shoot the cars that are on the back of the truck, and then eventually the truck will be allowed to be shot, and then you shoot the truck. I know I've been driving this home this entire time we've done this storyline, but this is the entire storyline. It's just drive here, shoot this, and drive away. There's nothing for you to sink your teeth into. There was nothing for you to sink your teeth into back in 2000 2006 either. This isn't even a problem with retrospect or looking back at it through rose-colored glasses. If you ask anybody what their favorite moments are from Saints Row 1, I can guarantee you they will never mention a single mission from the West Side Rollers. They'll mention missions from the Los Canales, whether they were too hard or rigged. They will definitely mention the fact that Tanya is Meg Griffin. They'll talk about Julius. They'll talk about insurance fraud, but they will never reference a single thing that happens in the West Side Rollers missions because none of it mattered. None of it stands out. None of it's set piece missions. None of it changes anything in your mind or your opinions. It just happens. You've watched it all happen. I have barely edited the actual story of this game for the West Side Rollers. You've seen it all happen in real time, and this is how it ends, right here.
That was a hell of an explosion. You okay, player?
I got ran over by a motherfucking truck. What do you think?
Oh, quit being a bitch. We didn't fuck the rollers hard. They ain't got nothing left. There are a few loose ends, though. Like, who the fuck those buyers are Sharp was talking about? I got a feeling some shit going on we don't know about. I'll catch you later at the church.
Before we can continue with the 3rd Street Saints missions, we first have to take back every district that's been under attack. Now, I already told you that I didn't do this throughout the entire game. There was no reason to. And I said that there was no reason to because this mission happens. If you take back the territories throughout your playthrough, you'll end up just going back to the same territories over and over again to keep retaking them. But if you just don't take them over, then the enemy gangs only take over a certain amount of territories and they stop taking them over. Meaning you can just focus on the main story. But this is a great opportunity for me to just kind of speed through taking over a bunch of territories and talk to you guys for a minute. We've been harping on Saints Row a little bit here because one, this is the foundation block of the entire franchise. This simple game eventually spanned out into what we knew and loved and then eventually into what we literally hated. But no matter how you look at it, it all started here. Whether Saints Row 1, 2, or 3 is your favorite game ever, then this is where it started. If you prefer Gat Out of Hell, well, this is where it started. And if you hated the reboot, this is what the reboot was trying to erase. Saints Row 1 by no means is a bad game. In fact, it's a phenomenally fun game. If you are looking for a video game that is there to be a video game, then you can go play Saints Row at any time of the day. It is literally just that. It is a game to be a game. It's not trying to be anything more than it was. In fact, I would argue the reason why Saints Row today doesn't work is because it started to become something that it wasn't. Throughout this game, we've slowly seen signs of what would be to come. We didn't know it in 2006, but now the fact that we're 20 years later, we can say that there were signs that this game would be over the top. When you talk to people about what they remember about Saints Row, just genuinely as a franchise, they remember going to hell with Gat. They remember aliens. They remember the constant back and forth. They remember them making fun of Mass Effect. And often along the way, people forget about the original Saints Row 1. I would even argue Saints Row 2, though it has its over-the-top moments, is still more grounded than the rest of the franchise. The reason why Saints Row has always stood out to me is because it really genuinely felt like gangs fighting against gangs. As much as I hate the West Side Rollers and the Vice Kings were kind of boring and the Los Carnales were a little bit over the top, it fit the universe. It felt real in a way. It felt like something that you were actually growing. You felt like a gang member growing a gang in a city that was already owned. This identity carried over into the second game, but then was immediately lost in all follow-up games and completely and utterly bastardized in the reboot. In all reality, I understand that the reason why Saints Row was a success was because it offered a little bit more comedy and a little bit more lightheartedness to the very serious games of Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 3 was an extremely gritty story, and Grand Theft Auto Vice City was basically like playing Scarface. And San Andreas, an amazing game on its own, didn't do anything to the best of its abilities. It was great, don't get me wrong, but it never had anything that was amazing. It just was. Saints Row had great ideas that they did and took to the farthest extent. The gang takeovers, the individual stories, it all flowed well and it fit to the universe. So when I think about the Saints Row franchise, I often think of the first game. It's the same thing I do with the Assassin's Creed franchise and the Mass Effect franchise, because I find it fascinating where a game developer starts and to where they end. Saints Row started here with a gritty story of a young up-and-coming gang member who slowly takes over an entire city, and you know where it ends. Assassin's Creed started with Desmond Miles and Altair and turned into whatever Assassin's Creed Shadows was. Mass Effect started with Commander Shepard in an absolutely beautiful story, and then ended up being whatever Mass Effect Andromeda was. You get what I'm saying? Some of our greatest franchises that we've ever had started with a single game that had to stand out in a time where video games had to stand up on their own merits by word of mouth. And Saints Row did just that. It targeted the Grand Theft Auto audience, but did it in a way that felt like its own thing. And yes, of course, there's people out there that claim that Saints Row is nothing more than a GTA ripoff, but those people are fucking stupid, and we don't need to sugarcoat it. Saints Row is an amazing game, and it stands on its own even now, 20 years later. Is there difficulties? Yeah. Sure, the entire time we played through this entire game, there's been street lights and car lights that have shone through buildings, but it never took away from the actual story. It just visually was annoying. Saints Row as a whole was an amazing story. And I'm saying all this now, and it sounds like I'm concluding the video when I'm not, because for some reason, the developers left the best parts of this game for the very, very, very end. All the complaints, all the things that we've been talking about, the lack of story development, the fact that a story starts and ends with one gang, all comes into this weird fruition at the very end of the game, which makes it the perfect and most beautiful ending it possibly could be, but also leaves you a little bit frustrated because you realize how much better the rest of the game could have been. When you get to Saints Row 2, you realize how much the developers just said, yeah, you know what? Screw the ending. This next section is going to be the best and the worst part of the game for so many reasons, and I can't wait to get into it with you guys. So let's do that. We've taken all the districts back so we can meet Julius at the church to celebrate the fact that we now own the entire city.
We did it, player. 3rd Street owns this town. Now, that's not to say shit didn't cost. And I ain't talking about what happened to Johnny's leg or losing limb. Those two were soldiers. They knew the risk. Hell, Johnny gets off on it. We crushed a lot of families, player, and someday they're gonna holler at us. But believe me when I tell you, we did the right thing. With the rollers wiped out, Benjamin gone, and the Colombians in our pocket, there ain't gonna be a need for a gang war ever again. And in the end, that's gonna save a lot more lives than we took. So relax, player. You earned yourself a break. You've impressed the hell out of me, son. And I told the crew, you're gonna be my right hand. Hold up. Some Barry just turned on his flashes. Yeah, player. I think I'm gonna have to call you back. This may take a while.
Just say the word.
Don't worry, these aren't the real credits. These are fake credits, even though they're real credits. It's just the fake ones because this is not where the story ends. Let's go.
This is Chief Monroe. If you want Julius back, listen to what I've got to say. Now, that stunt you pulled downtown with a rocket launcher cost my associates and I quite a bit of money. Now, I may not be an honest man, but I'm a fair one. So rather than turn Saints Row into a parking lot, I'm gonna let you work off what you owe me. There's a mayoral campaign going on, and I want one of the candidates taken off the ballot. Marshal Winslow is in his campaign bus right now, and he has an appointment with the northbound. Park that bus on the train tracks tonight, or you'll find Julius's body floating in the river tomorrow. Don't disappoint me. Julius is counting on you.
This is where we learn that the gangs weren't the only problem in Stillwater, so was the government, as well as the police. And I always had this theory that Benjamin King knew this and refused to pass it on. There's a whole lot that's left to us, the player, to try and kind of infer from just random dialogue that happens throughout the game. And you'd be forgiven if you didn't know this or you didn't understand what was happening. A lot of the times, we as people just chop up whatever's happening on the phone, and whatever's happening in the background is just background stuff, choosing to simultaneously only focus on what's directly said to us. Julius said many times throughout our playthrough that he believes that there's something else happening here. Benjamin King hinted at it, so did the Los Carnales, and even the High Rollers, West Side Rollers, have hinted at there's more at play. But nobody ever came straight out and said it. So while yes, we've had our suspicions throughout the entire game, even back in 2006, we didn't know what was actually genuinely happening. So let me briefly explain it in a dumbed down, extremely simplified version for you. Well, the government let the gangs fight it out between each other to see who would rise to the top. In behind the scenes, there was like a sort of Game of Thrones happening for Stillwater. The police and the government were trying to put somebody else in charge, and they all have their own political person that they want there. And the one way that they decided would be the best way to make sure that they could have a person in power and get what they want, which we'll find out what they want in Saints Row 2, is by letting the gangs kind of like take themselves out. And they planted people like Troy inside of the gangs to help this along. Believe it or not, every single gang that we went against, including the 3rd Street Saints, had some sort of help from somebody. Every character, every single boss, every single time we've been in a cutscene, somebody has referenced calling somebody else. Benjamin King straight up was having dinner with the police chief, who happened to just call us to, well, take out a political target. The West Side Rollers boss constantly said he had to call somebody, and we can infer that it had to be somebody in a place of power from the police or the government. And the Los Carnales literally state that they are pawning off and bought off a lot of the politicians within Stillwater. So while we were fighting amongst ourselves, there was a bunch of bigger moves happening behind the scenes, and now the 3rd Street Saints, being the last gang standing, is required to do, well, the final moves of the chessboard. One thing we can definitely infer now, without even completing the rest of these missions, is that we were all pawns in this big game, and the 3rd Street Saints are still pawns. They just don't know it yet, and they don't even know the full depths of how deep this goes, and we won't learn that until the very end of the game, where, like I said, we will be left with a lot more questions than answers, which is why it's such a beautiful ending. The developers of Volition knew that they had a franchise on their hands, and so they deliberately left this with a cliffhanger. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it for you. The cliffhanger is great, but the way they handled it is totally wrong. Because in Saints Row 2, everything we're about to see and do is basically an afterthought, which is incredibly frustrating, but it was 2006 and this was the normal back then. We stole the bus, we put it on the tracks, and it blows up, and we get an anticlimactic black screen.
Did you handle it? Where the fuck is Julius?
Have you heard back from Monroe?
Nice work. But I don't think I can let Julius go until you do a little more community service. We'll be in touch.
Looks like we wait.
Why? So we can let this jag-off jerk us around? Fuck that!
And what would you rather do?
You know exactly what I'd like to do.
Johnny, we're not blowing up City Hall.
Hey, I'm just saying. It would solve a lot of problems.
What if they're keeping Julius there?
Alright. But there's gotta be a better plan than let's be Monroe's bitches.
You're right. There is. Marshal Winslow was a major public figure, and you can bet your ass that people would ask questions if the chief of police wasn't at his funeral. I say we hit Monroe during the funeral procession. That should show whoever he's working with that we're not fucking around.
You're saying we should assassinate the chief of police while he's at the funeral of the guy we just smashed?
Yeah.
Don't tease me, Dex.
Let's fucking do it.
If you're thinking that this all sounds a little too easy, you'd be forgiven for thinking that, but what's really happening here is we are being used and puppeteered. If we think about this from a gameplay standpoint, the developers did a fantastic job of making you feel like you are completely and utterly untouchable, that you just spent the last 12 hours of your life absolutely shitting on everything that got in your way. You just took your 3rd Street Saints from a gang that was having fistfights in a cemetery to literally running the entire city. Every single time you were given an objective, you were able to handle it easily, so you wouldn't be shocked that you immediately kidnapped a bus with a mayor on it and had no issues putting it in front of a train and killing him. You'd also be forgiven for just accepting the fact that you're going to go and immediately assassinate the police chief with absolutely zero resistance whatsoever. But if you actually sit back and you look at this a little bit more critically, you can actually see that we're kind of being dumb. Instead of thinking logically, we're just rushing at every situation and assuming we can do what we did for the whole game, which is brute force our way through it. And while we drive across the town getting ready to assassinate the police chief, we never once, even for 1 second, think, hey, maybe this is a little bit too easy. We're not even questioning where certain characters are. Like, I don't know, say Troy. Where has he disappeared to? Where's Donnie gone? Where's Lopez Lopez's wife gone? Where's Benjamin King in all of this? It's just too quiet. If you get what I'm saying, it's too quiet. There were so many key figures that were in this entire game that for some reason aren't saying anything right now. And well, we can just assume that Julius is still held hostage. We have no way of proving that because we haven't even asked for proof of life. We're just doing what we've done the entire time, which is be a bull in a china shop. Now, a little side note, one thing that this game started doing near the end of it was having you drive to one side of the city to start a mission, to drive to the other side of the city to do the mission. It's exactly what's happening here, and I'm okay with it in small doses, but near the end of the game, it gets a little bit too much. You can argue, yeah, but the events are going to happen all over the place, blah, 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 blah. We have a goddamn cell phone. I don't need to drive all the way to the church to then receive a cell phone call to then drive all the way across the town. I could have just gotten the cell phone call wherever the mission had to take place. But as I've already stated, this is a product of the time, and you can go play Assassin's Creed Brotherhood right now and see that that game is literally only going from one side of the map to the other. We're going to skip ahead to where the actual convoy arrives. It turns out that it's not just one police car in the entire convoy. I don't know why the 3rd Street Saints thought it would be. It's actually a whole bunch of them, which means it's going to be a lot harder to find the actual police chief. So the solution to this is once again hammer, meet, glass, and we are just going to blow up every single car. The task itself is quite simple. It's the execution that's a bit of a problem, as the cars are in the middle of the road and there's an absolute buttload of cars to deal with. This is also where Gat's going to sacrifice himself to allow us to escape after the assassination has been completed. There's no cutscene once again, it just fades to a black screen and we're able to move on.
Hello there, young man. This is Alderman Hughes. That was quite a message you sent at Winslow's funeral. And trust me, I heard it loud and clear. Now, I'd like to set one thing straight. It was Monroe's plan to strong-arm the Saints. Personally, I've always thought you and I could have a much healthier relationship. Now, we've had a rocky start, yes, but why don't we fix that? Come over to my fundraiser tonight. Julius will be there, and between the three of us, I'm sure we can work something out.
If you can't tell, that was the man who's actually pulling the strings. And he's just invited us to his yacht for his fundraising event. This is the true ending to Saints Row 1. This is the ending that's going to leave us with a bunch of questions, and this is the ending that everybody talked about for months after the game launched. Yes, it is that good because the cliffhanger is so good. I just wish that the second game had honored what this game set up. We could have looked at a great crime series full of gangs and violence and kept this story going because yes, the ending was good enough for that to be the case, as you will see now.
Your guest is here, Mr. Hughes.
Thanks, Stephen. If you don't mind, could you wait outside? I'm Richard Hughes. It is a pleasure to meet the man who handed me the election. No need to be modest, I'm serious. There's no way I could have beaten Marshal Winslow. God rest his soul. But you made the impossible happen, and for that, I can't thank you enough. I mean, had Winslow been the only person killed, attention would have definitely been cast on me. But after that fireworks display you pulled at his funeral, it's become abundantly clear these horrible crimes were perpetrated by the 3rd Street Saints. While before people criticized my Saints Row urban renewal plan, it is now being lauded. See, until you came along, I was displacing poor people. Now, I'm destroying a hotbed of gang activity. What can I say? The public is fickle. Champagne. As you get older, you quickly learn that there are only 2 types of people in this world. Race, money, gender, none of this matters. At the end of the day, you're either a winner or a loser. Now, the sad truth about our situation is that in order for me to be a winner, I have to level your neighborhood and salt the earth. Hold on for a moment. Stephen, could you come in here? Where was I? Oh yes, salting the earth. Now I suppose I could try to pay you off, but really, what's the point? You just say no. Or in your case, stand there looking intimidating and we'd be right back to where we started. So I figured I'd cut the middleman and get right to the point.
Yo, can you speed this shit up? I want to go to Freckle Bitches.
You're going to die here, son. Make no mistake about that. But if it makes it any easier on you, I'll be sure to thank you in my acceptance speech. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a party to...
And that's the true ending of Saints Row 1. Who blew it up? Was it Benjamin King? Was it Donnie? Was it Julius? Was it Troy? Was it another rival gang? We don't know. We didn't know in 2006, and I know now, but I don't know then. I told you, it's a great ending. Who won? Who won? So I guess it's time to answer the question in which we've been trying to figure out throughout this entire video. Was Saints Row 1 as good as I remember, or did rose-colored nostalgic glasses make it seem better than it was? No, the game is exactly how I remember it. The good, the bad, the ugly, every single part of it is exactly how I remember it in every single way. If anything, if you compare Saints Row 1 to generational titles that have come out since, this game still holds up. Even graphically, I didn't add any graphic mods. The only thing I added was performance mods because I wanted to play on PC for easier recording. If you play this game on the Xbox, none of these issues exist, maybe the odd bug here or there. This is a fantastic game that 100% holds up 20 years later, better than games that came out yesterday. It is everything I remembered, and I do believe it's an underappreciated Saints Row title. And the fact that Saints Row decided to come out with a reboot that tried to erase where this game came from is fucking disgusting, because this game is 10 times the game the reboot ever thought it could be. I genuinely hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. I just want these videos to feel like it's you and me hanging out playing the game together, discussing what we're seeing and doing on the screen. It's not a review. I'm not trying to change your mind. I just want to hang out with you guys. And if you guys liked hanging out with me, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment down below at the topic at hand. What's a game you'd like to see me play through again? Or what did you think of this game? And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. Really, truly, I do genuinely hope you do.